usually when this thing goes live, I just need to like kind of double check and make sure it's showing up on YouTube because we've had times
Yeah.
where it just didn't seem like it was actually working, but it looks good now. Cool. Awesome. Welcome everybody to the stream again. We're live and tonight we're going to be talking about the Fire in the Mountains Festival. Festival was an amazing success. It's been a little over 2 weeks since the festival concluded its fourth and most probably expanded iteration to date. And I'm still trying to sort of descend off the cloud I've been on. It's pretty hard to come back to reality after this thing. It was like sort of like a dream you never want to end in a lot of ways. And it was just, yeah, man, I'm still kind of like reeling from the whole thing. But I kind of want to not waste too much time and just kind of get into this. So I've got some great guests. I want to welcome my guests tonight. So I've got CJ down there in the bottom left. CJ, I met you through Jeff from Metal Madness 66. Good cyber buddy.
I had a feeling.
And yeah, it turned me on to you. And where of your bands? You're active in Canis Dirus and Amun. And I actually linked the bands in the description. So anybody that's not heard these bands, go check these guys out. They've got some great stuff coming. We're going to talk to you about that a little bit later. And we got Steve. Steve, I met you on Instagram. It's funny because like I was at the festival and did this sort of pretty big hike on Saturday. And I was looking up at the Teton and I was like, man, I wonder if anybody climbed that. And sure enough, I found you looking through Fire in the Mountains pictures. I was like, fuck, somebody did it. Okay. So like you were like kind of perfect to have on here. And then you, as we were kind of getting ready for this, you had mentioned that you were friends with Jeremy and, invited him, which was a great idea. And so last but not least, we have Jeremy Walker. He is one of the founders and the organizers of the Fire in the Mountains Festival. And also from what I can glean from you, Jeremy, you're also sort of an avid outdoorsman yourself. So to kind of give, before I sort of preface this whole thing for everybody watching, this is the first time I'm meeting all you guys sort of in person. During the time of the fest, we didn't really know each other except, basically Instagram. So I wish I could say that we were all crushing beers and doing fist bumps, but, we were in spirit and hopefully maybe next time we will be. But it's really nice to meet you guys now for this. And just so I can kind of give you guys an idea really quickly of who I am. I've been doing this channel for a couple of years now, and it's basically like, I do it all for fun, and it's kind of the idea behind it is, sort of like networking, meeting people, guys like you and others that are like-minded. And the theme sort of behind this channel is kind of like tying in the relations between nature and music, specifically with hiking. These things for me like go hand in hand. I'm an avid hiker, backpacker, peak bagger here in Colorado, and I like to do these what they're called sort of hiking metal videos. They're really like kind of crude DIY, but I'm trying to get better at it in terms of quality and sort of reach. But it's kind of like a Les Stroud style where you come along with me and I try to inject the music and talk about the music in there as well. But just recently I started doing these streams as I've met some other like-minded folks that are into this sort of thing. Sort of niche community that we're sort of trying to bring together of metal hikers or metal outdoors type people together. And so that's a little bit about me. And so in saying that, this festival, Fire in the Mountains, is sort of lockstep with my own interests and the things that I value in my own life. And I'm really finally glad I got to experience it because I've been aware of the festival, since you guys had started it, maybe the second year. And for whatever reason, I wasn't able to make those, but it was really great to finally be there for this. So to kind of get in with it, we've got Jeremy here, and he's only got a small amount of time with us. So I've got a few questions for you, Jeremy, if you guys have some as well. I'll just kind of get us kicked off. So to sort of like preface Jeremy's involvement, if any of you guys watching are really interested in the sort of origins of the Fire in the Mountains, Jeremy did a really great interview with Metal Injection that I've linked in the description as well. It really gives you a good overview of kind of where his head hit him and the rest of the organizers, how they sort of came up with the idea. And honestly, reading through this interview, to me, it kind of seemed, Jeremy, like you were the guy, like you were the one really with the idea for this thing. And so I think, my first question for you, and this is kind of specific to my channel, but I think would also give us some insight into I would say anybody that hasn't read that interview, I encourage you to go read it. I'm going to try not to repeat anything that was asked there, but I was hoping that you could give us some insight into the sort of inspiration. Well, could you tell us about your own relationship and experience with wilderness, outdoor recreation? How do you recreate outdoors, and especially how does the music relate to that relationship and experience for you?
Yeah, it's a good question, because usually in kind of the metal magazine and whatnot interviews that I've had come my way, they're really focused on the music and kind of the setting, but not necessarily the recreation, my passion in recreation, which is what first brought me out to Jackson, Wyoming, I guess 16 years ago or so now. I'm a very avid skier. Skiing, I've always said, my biggest passions in life are skiing. It used to be number one, but maybe music's getting more, as I become more involved with fire, and this being actually in the music industry now, which I used to just be a huge metalhead and not actually be in the industry. But that's a big component of my life. And then obviously traveling is a huge component of my life as well. And then the other one is my other profession, which is wine. So I love wine. And so, that's kind of it. But I moved out to Jackson Hole really to kind of follow my aspirations of trying to be a professional skier, actually. And I absolutely love skiing, and it's something that I live and breathe, and would hope I do it till the day I die, right? And with that comes, a lot of other outdoor recreational sports. Summertime, my passion's mountain biking. With Fire in the Mountains, it's become kind of a little bit not as prevalent in my life, because my time doesn't exist like it used to when I was younger, and just living in Jackson Hole, being a ski bum and a mountain bike bum and a metalhead on the side. But I'm really excited that Fire in the Mountains is over now, so that my summer can start, and I'm going to go mountain biking finally for the first time on Wednesday. So obviously I'm excited about that. And then I love, being out here, the opportunities for just being with your friends in the great outdoors and camping with them on the weekends. The access is unbelievable. You can just drive, anywhere from 20 minutes outside of your house to, a few hours, and just get into some absolutely beautiful remote areas that you can really form a deep connection with not only the area around you, but also like your friends that are there with you that I don't get in other settings. And, with that comes hiking as well. So, but yeah, it's what keeps me here. There's two things that keep me in Jackson. It's definitely the mountains and the recreational opportunities, but it's also the community here. It's really tight knit. And so, I feel very fortunate to be there, but yeah, that's kind of how it's, as far as my recreational aspirations, that's it. Yeah, for sure.
And as far as that goes, and in tune with that, do you find that some of this music kind of goes hand in hand with that for you? Like I know it does for me. Like when I go backpacking and I stay out overnight and get a fire going, I get some of this music going. Whether it's Agalak or but not some of the bands that we've seen on the Festa. I mean, that stuff is really lockstep for me. Do you find that for yourself as well? Or
I do when I'm camping and with friends and have a fire, and really kind of looking at the setting around you. This just like maybe 2 months ago in I think the last week in June, we were camping out at a really awesome spot about 5 minutes from the festival grounds of Fire in the Mountains. 360-degree views of this and that, and we had I'm not joking. I'm not exaggerating. The most incredible lightning show I've ever seen in my life, that was over the Teton. So like the place that you're at is way up high. And so you get these 360-degree views of the Buffalo Valley there, and you're looking right at Mount Moran and the Tetons. And it was just, for an hour, just illuminating the Tetons as it was pitch dark, you know, kind of like a new moon type setting. And then, well, the moon wasn't out yet because it hadn't come over the horizon. And for like an hour, and like literally like full on bolts just hitting Mount Moran, but above us where we were camping, it was completely cloudless, stars, and it was unbelievable. And then as the night rolled on, the moon, you know, the storm passed and the moon came out, and it was this little crescent moon with the clouds, and we were blasting Wolves in the Throne Room, go figure. And I mean, it was as if we were in, you know, some sort of an alternate reality where, you know, like a music video, Wolves in the Throne Room or something. It was incredible. So yeah, it does go hand in hand. When it comes to my recreation, like when I'm hiking or mountain biking or skiing, I really don't like listening to music when I do any of those. A lot of people do. But for me, I really like hearing my breath. I like hearing the sound of my skis on the snow. It tells me things about the conditions that I wouldn't get to hear if I was tuned into music. The same with kind of the mountain bike tires on the dirt. And yeah, and I think it's a great kind of like meditational thing for me where I get to like really focus on my breath and the sounds around me. So I don't like recreating with music, but certainly camping and fire and a little, you know, little booze. Yeah, it goes great.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, for me, it's kind of same. I mean, like when I'm hiking, I don't listen. I'm the same. I like to hear what's around me. And it's kind of more of a kind of something that exists in my head and my heart, you know, that I can even just kind of hear in my head where I don't really have to just, you know, put earbuds in all the time. It's more like around the campfire thing. But I guess for me, it's kind of more of the idea of it. Right.
The only time I've really listened to music while hiking is when I've been bushwhacking through bear territory out here. And especially when you're not on a trail and you might surprise them. I definitely bring speakers with me and blast death metal, but apparently bears might like death metal. So maybe that didn't work, but it seemed to work.
Yeah. CJ, did you have anything that you wanted to ask Jeremy?
Am I coming through all right? By the way, I'm having a lot of internet problems.
Nope, you're good.
Had full bars all day, but the moment I do this, it's freaking out. But actually, I did want to comment on that music thing because I don't hike nearly as much as I wish I could. I'm only 20, so I haven't really gotten into this yet. But when I do, there's a couple like pretty nice parks around the area I live here in Ohio. And I'm kind of 50-50 on whether or not I'm listening to music when I'm just walking around, screwing around. Yeah, about half of the time I do kind of take the time to just decompress and take in the surroundings and not have that sensory overload because I listen to music way too much. Especially with the job that I work, I can have a headphone in all day. So yeah, about half the time I'll actually like take the headphones out and, you know, just sit there. But about the other half of the time, I'll be pretty selective if I do want to listen to something that's like particularly like spiritual to me or folky or hell, I've taken my guitar out to the middle of nowhere before and just picked a spot, sat down, screwed around for an hour. But yeah.
Yeah. So Jeremy, I mean, just getting to the fest. I mean, there's so many things that we could probably ask you, and I'm sure there's so much to like just the evolution of this thing and how it came together. But one of the things I wanted to ask you was, and I'm sure that there were many moments like this, and I know I had many moments like this. But is there something that sticks out in your head from this last fest where, you know, you just looked around and one of the bands were playing and the sun was setting and everybody was having a fucking great time, and you were just like, man, this is fucking like, holy shit, you know, we pulled it off and then some, you know?
Yeah, I had a few moments like that. One of the moments was actually right when Friday was a blur for me. I was the first day setting it up and getting everyone in the door is definitely the most stressful of the days. And I run pretty hot that day. And when we opened the gates for the first time and people started walking in for the first time into the festival grounds that we had spent a week preparing, and I had spent, with the COVID years, basically 3 years designing in my head and figuring out how to do it. When those gates opened, and then I don't know if anyone was there, but there were 2 guys on horseback that were inside, and those guys were part of Jackson Hole Stillworks distillery, and they were literally riding throughout all of Wyoming, like on trail, just delivering vodka and gin to people, and they asked me if they could, ride to Fire in the Mountains and be a part of it. And I was like, absolutely, of course. And somehow they came in right at the same time through the back gate that we opened the front gates to the public. And they didn't plan that. And I didn't plan that. It just happened that way. Right. And people walked in, they're like, oh my God, there's people like Wyoming at a dude ranch where there's people on horse in here. And there was like this dead.
Yeah, I didn't question it when I saw it.
There was no music playing, and it was just dead silent. And it was the first time I was able to like breathe and be like, well, it was really hard getting here, but now we're going, and here we are. And the silence of it, and everyone just walking in and seeing it, and I could like hear I could almost hear the people breathing around me and everything. And it was pretty emotional for me. Really emotional, actually. Especially after I've put so much time in the last few years and trying to, with COVID and everything. And to finally have that happen right at that moment was surreal, completely surreal.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's definitely some times with, obviously when it was going the next 2 days with some bands playing. For some reason, every Dreadnought's played Fire in the Mountains 3 times. And every time Dreadnought plays at Fire in the Mountains, I uncontrollably cry. I can't even. Can't even contain it.
And my friend that I was with, we were.
I can't deal with it every time they play Fire in the Mountains. I don't cry when I see them in Denver, but at Fire in the Mountains for some reason. I mean, there was just so many great times during that for sure. And it was nice. Saturday and Sunday were really nice for me because I was able to, for a lot of it, sit back and not run around like a crazy person, and actually get to soak some of it in. I was able to actually see like maybe 3 bands each day, as opposed to there have been some other Fire in the Mountains I've done where I didn't see a single band, except Dreadnought, obviously. But
of course.
So that's what. And I actually do want to correct before I have to go, but like this is actually our 6th Fire in the Mountains. The first 2 were in the National Forest Service land on a place called Shadow Mountain. It was a clandestine event. The only people in the knew about it, and it was smaller. Obviously, it was probably like 200 people at each one. The first one was 1 band, and then the second one was 3 bands, and it was like a cool thing where we absolutely unbelievable view. Everyone camped out right by the Tetons. And we had to like build the stage right when like we would build the stage in sections and then come up and then bring it up in a big truck and screw it together. And then the bands would play, and then we'd have to unscrew it and throw it in the back of the truck, put a tarp over it in case the authorities came and saw us. So we were trying to cover our tracks and our evidence because it wasn't quite legal. Then on the 3rd one, we had the Forest Service was, it was like, hey, if you do this again, we're going to arrest you. We know that you're doing this and where you do it. And then that was the 1 year that we had. I was like, oh, well, don't worry. I already had this. I had a plan B for it to be at the Pink Garter Theater. And so that was the only one that was inside. And we had to do that. There were 5 bands at that one, and that was inside of the Pink Garter Theater in downtown Jackson. But we made it really cool where we literally brought into this, it's like a 500-person theater. We brought in a forest. So we had deadfall trees and some young sapling trees that didn't matter if we had cut down because they're in kind of like bunches of other, aspens. So it's okay for the ecosystem and this and that. But and we brought in a whole forest of trees, made it so like it, and a feeling as if you were in a forest. And then we had like 1,000 candles and a bunch of skulls everywhere. And then we had a guy make a video of like a drone video of the Teton Mountains, that played behind the bands as they played. So it was like, okay, if we're going to be inside, at least we're going to do it right and try and be in the spirit of Fire in the Mountains. And then the last 3 years I've been at Heart Six Ranch, where we've been able to, at that point, be like, okay, we are on private property with with people that are, the owner of the property who loves working with us. And now we are able to now take this concept and this idea and make it a business.
So did all the guys at the Heart Six Ranch, did we convert them to being metalheads, or did they just think we're a bunch of crusty bastards that just like completely like leveled the place?
I think some of the workers there like it. The owner of Heart Six Ranch hates the music. He absolutely loves us. Everyone in Buffalo Valley there, like the business owners love us as a group of people, right? Like the people at Heart Six are like, you guys are the most polite customers we have all year. The same thing was said at the Hatchet, which was, the resort down the road. People stayed. Same thing at Lutton Teton Cabins. They're all saying, and we are, because we are a very considerate group of people. And they are saying, you guys, Jeremy, as long as you keep doing this, please send your guests our way, because it's like not only like a very profitable weekend for everyone, these businesses that get to sell out their hotels and stuff and have, a psychopath drinking all their beer and stuff, but like they just love that how polite we are and how much we tip and how considerate we are. And it's not something you find amongst other niche groups, amongst other groups of music. If we were to if there was to be a festival, a different kind of, music festival at Heart Six Ranch, the land wouldn't be left in the same way it is with us.
Absolutely. It blew my mind when I left on Sunday and saw the place spotless.
There's nothing there. The campground, like I could pick up a little bit of micro trash here and there in the festival grounds, and that's to be expected because of all the operations in the festival grounds. But I'm telling you, it blew my mind walking on Monday afternoon, walking the campgrounds and being like, all right, time to go pick up the trash over here. And there wasn't any trash, zero.
I've been to all three of them at Heart Six Ranch, and I always kind of hang out towards the end. I'm never in a rush to get home on Sunday. And I'm always amazed just walking the fields at how clean everything is and how respectful everybody was, besides some tent footprints, when the camping used to be up on the hill, there's no damage and a lot of respect was given. And on Frank's defense, I was talking to Frank, the owner of Heart Six Ranch, and he said he hates all music because he has tinnitus. And it bothers his ears because he has that tinnitus constantly ringing in his ears. So he hates all music, not just ours.
That is a good thing in his defense. But, he loves – it's funny, working with him because, he's not bringing us there because he likes the music or any of that. He was bringing us there because, he wanted to give Fire in the Mountains an opportunity to succeed. He kind of liked me as a business person, and me and him get along really well. But he was just the type of just crazy enough to be like, yeah, let's go for it. Why not? What's the worst that can happen? And so when we were trying to go from like really like getting this thing on a private piece of property so that we could really create a festival, we went to probably a dozen ranches around Teton County, right? And Heart Six was the one that bit. And the other ones were like, no way, right? It'd be interesting, now that we're a little bit bigger and well known, maybe some other, it'd be different. But that time, you're like, who's these crazy guys? I've never even heard of this. Who's this? No, we're not doing this, right? It sounds too risky, and it is. But Frank was, and it worked out really well because Heart Six happens to be a dude ranch and happens to have the infrastructure that tends to sustain Fire in the Mountains a bit too, where, you know, they are a hotel and they have a restaurant and they have, you know, equipment that we can use, tractors and things like this to like help bring it all to life. It'd be a different scene if it was just, okay, yeah, I have a great, beautiful piece of land and here's the land, but there's no infrastructure. We'd have to bring it 100% of it in, which is possible, but it's, you know, it's not quite as like resorty feeling in a way, you know, resorty not being like 70,000 tons of metal, but like true Wyoming, you know, Wyoming feel. Right. And so, it's worked out really well, and I'm not sure where the future of it's going to go at this point, because we can't pass our next permit until probably next spring at the earliest, and that doesn't give us enough time to have 2023. You know, we can't book the bands right now without a permit. We would have been booking the bands, you know, 3-4 months ago for 2023, but it's too risky to do it without a permit in hand. So that's why we have to move it to 2024. But this county is very difficult to work with. And they're not 100% on board with what I'm offering. And so they're kind of fighting us. And there's a lot of variables that have to play out in the next year to see whether or not it will be at Heart Six again. And I don't know how. It's like 50-50, I would say, you know? So like even everything from like the election of our public officials, like a lot of them are up for re-election. So how is that going to play out? Is it going to be in our favor or against us, you know? So, so some things that are like, you know, completely out of my control as far as like, okay, you can write the best damn permit application you could ever write, but if you don't have the support, just the inherent supporters behind you in the kind of the public sphere of politics, and it's not going to work out. So, so we'll see. You know, we'll see what happes.
That's a long way.
It's a long way, but in the meantime, we're going to be looking for alternatives as well. So we are very, very steadfast and dedicated to having a 2024. And when we do, it's going to be better than ever, regardless of whether or not it's at Heart Six Ranch or not. So
yeah, it's kind of become.
That's all I can say. I don't know where it'll be. If it's at Heart Six, it'll be better than ever. If it's somewhere else, it's going to be better than ever.
Yeah.
And we have within the Fire in the Mountains kind of organization, we have some of the most passionate, dedicated people willing to get us there. And we have some of the most passionate and dedicated, you know, fans that want to come to it again, that want to help out no matter, you know, however they can, even if they have a ticket, you know, it's unbelievable. And part of that really is just, you know, such a large focus of ours has been really focusing on the community of Fire in the Mountains. And when you build that community, then everything will, you know, the help will come your way, you know? So, and I'm a firm believer in that. And I hope that it'll happen in 2024. We're just not sure where.
Yeah.
But it's going to be spectacular.
Well, I can say, man, I mean, I've been to a lot of shows in my 25 years as a music fan, and I've never experienced anything like that. That was really just on another level. And I just want to say you guys really did an amazing job. And, you know, everything was, I mean, I didn't see one person out of line. You know, the lineup was amazing. I mean, it was really just one of those things that, you know, if it truly is the last one, I mean, I'll never forget it. But we're all very hopeful, and anything we can do to help support you.
You know, every year, about a month before Fire in the Mountains, I say I'm never doing this again. I am so stressed. I got so much. I'm going bald. People see like I'm pale in my face. I'm like, I'm never doing it. And I said that this year again, right? And then every damn year, right after Fire in the Mountains, I'm like, all right, let's start planning the next one. We're going to make it even bigger and better. And what else can we do? And I just get more and more, enthusiastic and dedicated to it. And I feel more dedicated now than I ever have to it, because this was by far like the best composed one that we put on. And I really feel like this was the year that our vision was really starting to take shape. When with the side programming of the workshops and the barbecue and the scholarship work and like this not just bigger than the music type thing, the community, the impact that we were having, and then also just like the festival grounds themselves with the camping on site, everything really, the vision was really starting to become a reality. And so because of that, I feel we all feel more dedicated to it than ever before. And I mean, it's the most rewarding thing I've ever done in my life, hands down. Just to, hear you guys say how, 25 years of going to music and I haven't seen anything like that. But that's the intent, right? Just to kind of change the paradigm of what a festival and what a music situation, what a music venue should be, right? And what an experience should be. It's bigger than just going to a concert. It's about a deep holistic experience that everyone, if you're doing it right, should have. And so, yeah, we got to get it done. So I'm excited. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see what happens and how it takes shape in the next 2 years, actually. So.
Well, Jeremy, I know you got to jump, so I really appreciate you making the time to come on and talk to us for a few.
Yeah, I got to go put on a punk rock show now at the music venue I run here in Jackson. It's going to be awesome.
Have fun.
It should be interesting. I'm excited. We haven't had a punk show here and since I've lived here, so it should be fun. I know some people are excited. Hopefully I see some Fire in the Mountain shirts coming here.
Well, good luck, man, on everything.
Thank you. I want to thank you guys for inviting me, and I really wish I didn't have to run because I feel like, we could probably talk for many hours, and I hope that we get to meet in person sometime soon. So we'll go hiking. We go meet up at Steve's place, go hiking, and then listen to his record collection. He's got to take you on a tour of his record collection.
I saw some of his pictures. Yeah, it looks insane.
It's unbelievable.
It puts mine to shame for sure.
It's unbelievable. All right. Well, thank you guys.
Good seeing you, Jeremy.
I'm excited to listen to the rest of the interview afterwards. So
awesome.
Cool.
Well, thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate it, man.
Take care. Thank you.
Take it easy, buddy.
Mm-hmm. So, Steve, right on, man. Well, thanks for bringing Jeremy, and that was really cool. So
yeah, no problem. I figured he'd be a good person to throw in here and give the background, and it was I've just gotten to know him. I went to the first one at Heart 6, which was the first one that was kind of promoted somewhat, and just went on a drop of a dime and met some of the greatest people there, gotten to know Jeremy. And, this festival, I think, kind of fills a hole that a lot of us are looking for with the connection to nature and the music that we listen to. So because in mainstream society, they don't see a connection. So it's awesome to meet so many people that do, because a lot of us recognize the connection that some of our music has to the environment and to nature and to the whole experience.
Yeah, for sure, man. It's like, for me, I work on a computer for 50 to 60 hours a week. And so like, the outdoor part of it and the music itself is all sort of the escape for me. And so, like, to have that together is kind of like mind blowing, really.
Yeah.
Looks like CJ is having a couple issues, so we'll wait for him to jump back in. But yeah, man, well, why don't we get into your so I like I said, I was just looking at Instagram photos and saw your pic, and I was like, holy shit, I was like, I went and did like a 9-mile hike on Saturday morning. So we missed some of the bands on Saturday, but we wanted to try and get a bit of a hike in, So me, I'm not too versed in hiking in grizzly country, so I kind of played it a little safe on this kind of first time for me, because
sure.
in Colorado, it's a whole different ball game, right? So,
right.
But like I was saying, I was just looking up at the Grand Teton and like, man, I wonder if somebody did it. Sure enough, you did. So, I mean, like, did you do it on Saturday or got you back?
No, actually, I summited on Wednesday afternoon. I've been a mountaineer and even more passionately an ice climber for over 20 years now. Kind of why I live in the area I do of Southwest Colorado. And I'd been up there 3 times before, climbed some great routes on the Middle Teton, but never stood on the Grand because of exactly what Jeremy was talking about with all the lightning. I'd always gotten chased off. So I saw a good weather window right before fire in the mountains and just kind of watched it and decided to take off early. I left on Tuesday night and climbed on Wednesday, gave myself Thursday to recuperate a little bit, and then rolled into Heart 6 on Friday. So, which is always just a special experience, especially after being, up there. And when I was on the summit, knowing where Heart 6 was, I was just looking out the valley, just like, I'm going to be right down there, and just kind of the perspective that I'm going to get from both angles. I was just sitting up there thinking about it. The weather was beautiful. So, it was really cool to do, especially since, my first time up there was 20 years ago and I had never stood on the Grand. And so it was just kind of a culmination of like, this is the right, the energy's right, and Mother Nature's on my side this time. And I was able to finally stand on top of the thing.
There it is.
But God, pictures never do this justice.
Yeah. You go up to that lower saddle on the right, there's the trailhead is at the bottom of the valley. There's no road that even goes up any of the vertical. And you just kind of continue up that valley to the left to that lower saddle on the left of the peak. And then, right there. And then just you scramble up kind of behind there, and there's a line of least resistance, and you can gain the summit.
Yeah, then you had this one pick from the top. Wow.
Oh my Lord.
That's fun. That's from the summit. And the perspective when you get up there, especially because the Grand Teton's such just a linear range, it's not like a lot of the Rocky Mountains where it's just mountains as far as you can see, and just looking down and seeing the complexity of them. And the mastiffs and the faces on the Tetons are a lot more complex than what we have in Colorado. So it's a special environment. And being able to kind of line it up with fire in the mountains and put those two passions together was just an incredible 5 or 6 days for me, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty hard. So did you like overnight in there, or was it just like a real early morning kind of thing?
I overnighted one night. I hiked about 2/3 of the way up above tree line. Because that's the one thing with bear country and even grizzly country. It's like once you're up above tree line, the risk is pretty minimal. There's no food up there really for them to eat, so they don't venture above tree line. It's more fighting marmots. They get into your stuff. So, you get up above tree line into kind of a safer area and then camp out there. And then I summited the next day and hiked out and stayed in Jackson for a night. So, and started meeting up with friends. I have such a great core group of friends I met at Fire in the Mountains. The first one we went to was about 350 people, I think. It was very small and very intimate. And, some of my best friends now in the metal scene, and the people I look forward to meeting up with at festivals, all over the U.S. I met for the first time at Fire, and it's become a family, and it's a really cool network, and we get a group picture together, and every year it just grows and grows and grows, and it's it brings people together, like you were saying. We didn't know each other at the festival, but it's still that festival that's brought us together 2 weeks later, and made new friends and stuff like that. And that's the really cool thing that you don't get at a lot of quote unquote extreme music festivals, So I go to Maryland Death Fest every year as well, and the dichotomy between the two festivals is it's fun to see both ends of it, for sure.
Yeah.
But the Fire in the Mountains and what it's based on, and the intent of it, of being an experience and not just a party show. We all have a good time, we all party. But we also, like I said, there's a more spiritual, holistic vibe and attitude, at the festival that's really special.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
I
sure.
had
Go ahead, CJ.
so I had a Fire in the Mountains is kind of funny for me because I'm 20 and I got into extreme metal probably about 4 years ago now. So I was like 16 in high school, and by the time I got to the point where I could realistically go see bands, the world ended, and I had to wait to go see these bands even longer. So like I had seen like a small handful of some extreme metal bands before Fire, but Fire was really the culmination of like 4 years of waiting. So and I wish I was able to tell Jeremy this, but like, he didn't have a lot of time, and I kept disconnecting. Um, but yeah, it was really weird for me because now I feel like I'm never gonna be able to go to a fucking festival ever again because I'm just spoiled. It has been ruined. Um, but yeah, it was very clear to me because like I ended up driving out all the way from Ohio, um, which was a lot of nothing, and then suddenly the Rocky Mountains, which I'd never seen before. I'd never been west of the Mississippi. Um, but yeah, like the whole experience, like from the moment me and my best friend who I was with, and my bandmate, the moment we walked in, something was different, right? Like, and like the only way I could put it into words was like, it felt like everybody was there for the same reason, because like we all get so moved by the environment and each other and the music, and that's why we're here. Not to, oh, I just want to get drunk and mosh, which don't get me wrong, it's very fun. But yeah, it's different. It's very very different. It's a very, very strong connection with the outdoors, obviously, and it's completely shoved me into that world. I walk around, I hike around here a lot more than I used to, and I want to get into it more. But yeah, in a funny way, Fire in the Mountains kind of spoiled me.
Yeah, I mean, I bet you that. I mean, that was the perfect thing to give you the inspiration to kind of get out and just because it was that vibe for sure. Just not just the music and yeah, it's like you might be kind of spoiled a bit the next time you go to a show or a fest, dude. Because
Oh
yeah,
yeah,
it's like it's. I went to the Death Fest as well this last year. It was the first time for me going to Maryland for that, and which was fantastic, amazing in its own right, but a completely different vibe and just a beast.
yeah,
I mean, because I mean, the Death Fest was just like, 3 days of death metal and thrash metal. I mean, that's pretty much mostly what it was. I mean, there were some black metal bands like in the evenings at the Ram's Head, but this was a real like mixture of different types of bands and like, I really loved how they sort of, the day rolled through the bands. You go from like a, a crazy death metal band like Haunter to, Woven Hand, which is like not metal at
yeah,
all. And then you'd go to Wayfarer, but then you'd have things like, uh, the Panopticon set right after the Chorna box set or whatever it was. And it was just
good
really kind
God.
of yeah, that Chorna box set was pretty off the hook. But the Panopticon set, I mean, like it's just like, for me, like CJ, like there was a lot of bands there that I had never gotten to see before, like Panopticon and
The only
mishaps.
band I had seen on that bill was Yob.
Hmm.
And Panopticon's my favorite band in the universe. So I told Lon, I was like, I'm just happy I got to see you play music of any kind. And obviously, it's my dream to see real Panopticon live. Um, but yeah, even Yob blew me away again, and I knew what was coming. But yeah, all of those bands, man, like Jeremy said, Dreadnought fucking moved me to tears. Which is actually kind of funny because Dreadnought is coming around my neck of the woods early September, and we're trying to work out a show because um, apparently Kelly from Dreadnought is really into my band. So we're trying to work that out. It's a bit of a nightmare right now, but there's a chance, which would be amazing. Honestly, I mean, it'd be cool to see them again um, and play some music for them. That'd be really sick. But yeah, the fucking bands, man, holy shit! Like two or three bands that changed my life just by seeing them. And like I remember looking at my best friend after Yob finished. We were like tears on our eyes. We were like, oh my god, emotionally destroyed. And we were like, fuck, now we have to watch Wolves in the Throne Room and do it all over again. It just like never stops. which I loved
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah, I think I had a few moments where I teared up on quite a few bands, especially like some of those acoustic sets Friday night.
Yeah, this year I thought they did a really good job. They've always mixed up bands, and had a lot of stuff from different genres. But, I really like, I just Eternal Champion and some of the power metal that they had this year, which they've had a little bit of in the past, but not like they did this year. And the Visigoth set was just kind of like, the way that they just made it work and brought it together.
Yeah,
just
the
made
way
it so
Andy came
special.
through
They're
on
like,
that.
we're not like that, we're going to do this one way or another. So seeing that kind of community come together and, and everything is kind of, a salute to the festival and what it's done for sure. So.
Yeah,
and just seeing bands out there like Yob for me is my first time seeing them, and I was really excited. This festival has turned me on to so much new music. I'm 47 years old, so I grew up with the mid 80s to mid 90s thrash, death metal, and I really didn't start getting too turned on to black metal until I started collecting vinyl, about, 10, 12 years ago. And then just the rabbit hole with black metal is you can just go forever and all the subgenres. And I've really kind of connected to kind of the atmospheric black metal that kind of revolves around Fire in the Mountains. The first one I planned about a week before to go up. I had seen it. I knew one guy that was going up from North Dakota that I had never met in person. And all my friends had talked about Panopticon, and this festival just kind of spoke to me. I'm actually a hippie as well. I followed the Grateful Dead back in the early 90s. And
Nice.
so this festival is totally, my style, death metal and hippie and all that together. And so about a week before, I'm like, I think I can pull this off. And I haven't been up to the Tetons for a while. I'm about a 9-hour drive away. And so I kind of just went at the drop of a dime, like the week before to meet someone I hadn't before. And and the amount of friends I made and, this festival just captured me. And, now I'm call Austin Lunn a friend from Panopticon. He gave me a bunch of test pressings because he knows that I kind of keep stuff together and, just the friendships and the connections I've made through the music industry. And then you're on his label, right, CJ?
Yeah, the next Canis Dirus record is actually going to be put out on
Canis
Byron.
Dirus.
And I'm really glad you did mention that friendship aspect because as moving and life-changing as the bands were, it is secondary to me because, like I said, over these last 4 years, I've been way too active on Instagram, and I've made a lot of friends and connections with bands and people. And during the brief period where Lud was on Instagram, we actually started talking. We were just bullshitting about like our favorite bands and drummers because we're both apparently. I found that drummer is Lud is originally a drummer, so the two of us were geeking out about same stuff that we were into. But we never were able to meet because of COVID or whatever. And I had a lot of people I was looking forward to meeting at Fire, and there were still a couple that missed. Like I didn't get to meet Jimmy here, but I met like 5 or 6 people that I had been talking to for years. Andrea from Exulansis, she was up on stage with Lun. She's playing violin. I've known her for years. I have her band. I'm wearing her band shirt. I'm total supporter of that project. Go fucking listen to it. But Charlie, the other violinist for Lon, he's a super, super great guy. Literally was texting him today. Me and Lon exchanged phone numbers. It's funny, like he didn't recognize me for about the first 10 seconds we were talking, and then it clicked, and then he just like gave me a big ass hug. And yeah, I'm lucky enough to call him a friend, which is crazy because he's been Panopticon's been my favorite band for like 4 or 5 years now. It's crazy. But I absolutely prefer it that way. I love it that way. It's great to just, be so much closer with these people. There was a lot of people at the festival that I got to meet finally, and so many of the bands actually really my favorite thing about this whole festival. None of the bands acted like big shot bands. Everyone was just hanging out and talking. Like, got to talk to Ivar from Enslaved for a little bit. He's got a fucking Amun business card now because he was asking me and Joe like, "Oh, what do you guys do?" And we couldn't not plug the band.
Right.
And like we're pretty good friends with Dreadnought now. Like me and Kelly text all the time. Besides working out the show, it just felt like a bunch of people who were all there for the same reason, and we were all just there to hang out. And it wasn't so much. It felt like the band just wanted to share their music with everybody, and that's such a beautiful atmosphere, and I fucking loved it. And it is now my dream to play Fire in the Mountains, but we'll see if that happens.
Maybe one day. I could see
Yeah,
it.
I'm severely gunning for 2024, especially with new Amun material on the way. But I'm gonna have to get the kudos from probably Jeremy, and I think Shane does the bands mostly from Wayfarer. So I'm gonna need to talk. I'm gonna need to talk to him, but we'll see.
I can get you in touch with Shane. I've become decent friends with him, so he's a really good guy. You know, the whole kind of Denver scene was kind of the hub for bringing the bands up with Dreadnought.
I could tell,
and it makes sense. And Blood Incantation, stuff like that. But Dreadnought and Panopticon have really kind of become, the two bands that kind of define, Fire in the Mountains. Dreadnought's played
there every year.
every year. And the second year at Heart 6, I thought it was awesome is Panopticon didn't play and Austin was just there as a fan. And that's where I really got to know him. We had talked at the first one some, but then, him and his wife, came as just fans the second year, which kind of shows you when the artists come as fans, then, you're doing something right. The personal aspect, like you said, with Kelly and Lauren, I've gotten to know them, well, and it brings, everyone together. I say last year, but we all just forget the pandemic even happened. But, last year, my room that I rented was attached to Wolves in the Throne Room. So we just ended up hanging out with them all night. And, and we have an inside mustard joke with the band, and just laughing and them just being part of the crowd. Just creates that experience, that you don't get that at many festivals.
No, it's so refreshing. It's so fucking refreshing to just hang out with them as people, and to nerd out about music or anything else. And I did make a few fans out of it too. There's a couple people since Fire who've checked out Amun and have said very nice things to me. I've sent some super secret demos of new stuff to a couple people, which, I mean, obviously from like a business marketing standpoint, it was very cool, very successful, but I don't really give a shit about that. Not as much as just making all of these really cool friends and all these people who are just into music for the same reasons that I am, and we all are, right? It's so nice and so refreshing. And it really, really sucks to come back to reality, to fucking cornfield and Ohio. I do not see myself living in Ohio for the rest of my life. This is a bit of a temporary thing. But we'll see.
Well, maybe, that inspired you to maybe seek westward, I mean, I know for me, I'm from the South. I'm from Louisiana, so I mean,
I'm originally from Tampa Bay, Florida, funny enough.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, it took, when I was probably your age, it took me trying to figure out, oh man, maybe I want to go that way, maybe that hopefully like inspired you to kind of maybe seek that out, because I mean, to me, like that's a big part of, is having places like this, like, where we were for the festival, to be able to just take it all in and be able, to me, it's like a mental health thing in a way, and I mean, like what you guys are saying, I mean, like just, it was so like overwhelming. I was with one of my buddies and like, I met some people here and there. We were camped like right close to the entrance actually. And it was just like, man, there was so much going on. I was trying to catch like every band, every moment I possibly could. It was like, I wish we would have had like a whole another day with just everybody there to just hang out. So you could have really just gotten around and like meet everybody. But one moment I had that was really important to me was getting to meet Aaron Carey from the Chachwin, really one of my favorite bands that I've been into that band for many years now. And
oh yeah, me and him had a good long conversation when I finally got to talking to him.
Man, he was just the nicest, most. I mean, just like you guys are talking about, everybody, all the band members, everybody that was there was so just humble and just easy to talk to, and like he was definitely very representative of that. Just completely just personal, and just wasn't even the guy that I've been listening to for so long or whatever. It just was like, hey, like I was telling him I was hiking in Dolly Sides in your state, last year, and he's like, oh man, call me next time you're in and I'll come out with you again, kind of thing. So I was just that was the whole, to me, like pervaded throughout like everybody that was there, and just just unreal. And
yeah, definitely. Funny, we geeked out a little bit because we didn't know we were so close to each other. We're like 2-3 hours away from each other, about max. And we were geeking out about it, and he's like, how do I know that? I was like, where have I seen your name before? It's like, well, I own one of your records, so you probably shipped that to me. But yeah, we're like from the same area roughly. Funny enough, there's actually a street about 10 minutes from me called Kanawha Boulevard, and I'm like, hey, this is an album. Yeah, no, I told him, it's like, I know you have like a million drummers in your life, but I was like, if you ever want to make full sound live in the Chachwin happen in any way I can help, let me know. Because I would love to see that. He even said he would love to see it. It's just a nightmare to make that happen. Someone who's in a live band, it's a nightmare to make this happen. I'm lucky enough to live nearby my bandmates. One of them is next door. But yeah, Aaron's such a cool guy.
Yeah, this is great record for sure. I mean, everything they put out is fantastic, but this one, it took a while for him to put it together, but it was well worth the wait. Because I don't know, Steve, how familiar you are with these guys, but with Chachwin, they played one of the acoustic sets Friday night.
Yeah, I'm somewhat familiar with them just from kind of following what Austin does. That stay-at-home fest that they did and streamed live during.
Yeah, I watched that.
That was excellent, and that was really cool of everyone to do that. So I caught that. So they said pretty familiar with them, and yeah, every time I see them, I just love their vibe and. There was.
Do you know what he's talking about, Steve?
Oh, I know exactly what he's talking about.
I think I know what he's talking about. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, they don't roll like that at Fire. That's a MDF exclusive for you.
Thankfully.
Yeah.
So, sorry, that sidetracked me there.
Yeah, no, that was kind of funny.
And that's what this festival keeps doing to me. It keeps turning me on to all these, different aspects of not necessarily metal, just other genres as well. And I really like how to see, with some of the Steve from Neurosis and Mike from Yob doing their own thing that's totally different. And it brings a big aspect. I think you kind of understand that artist personality more when you get to see them in a couple different, formats with the band that you're familiar with, but also just something that speaks to them more personally that they do on the side, where they kind of, speak from their soul, just like with Woven Hand, with David from Woven Hand, because Woven Hand played the first one at Heart 6, and that was the first time I had gotten turned on to them, and I really enjoyed them. Kind of a country rock flair with kind of some psychedelic, vibe to it, and just kind of connects you, and there's really turned on to them. So that's what I love about this festival. And you see bands in a new light. Like I'd seen Yellow Eyes before at the Auto Bar in Baltimore for pre-fest, you know, and they were great, you know, but to see them in that venue, you know, and Ruins of Beveras when they played, and just, you know, everything, a band, you have a very different experience at Fire in the Mountain with every band, no matter if you've seen them play 20 times or it's your first time seeing them. What you get at Fire in the Mountains is so much more connective than most festivals, and I think that's why, you know, like CJ was saying, is you get spoiled because you don't feel that connection between everybody at other festivals like you do at Fire in the Mountains, which, you know, is what I really like. And, you know, honestly, it kind of reminds me of the vibe that was in the Grateful Dead scene when I followed with them. Is just the vibe of community and support and love and the passion for one thing.
Yeah, you know, that's a really interesting parallel right there to think about it. You know, like, I mean, you know, thinking about Dead, I had never seen the Dead live, but I mean, I've watched enough footage and watched all the movies and everything to see that, yeah, it's kind of interesting to see like a Dead type or like a, you know, a jam band type attitude to a metal fest in a way. It's kind of, that's a good way to kind of like sort of parallel. I mean, bring CJ back in because it's there we go. You know, it's funny. I was kicking myself the last time for that last iteration when Ruins Beverast was playing that festival. That's one of my favorite bands. And I don't know, for whatever reason that summer, I think I was like prioritizing hiking trips or something like that. And I remember it's one of those things that, you know, you kick yourself in the ass and like, why the hell didn't I go to that? And luckily I got to see the Ruins at MDF this last year.
Yeah, they were excellent.
And they were, you know, phenomenal, but I'm sure they were just amazing, you know, in that setting. And I had seen, I've seen Enslaved quite a few times over I mean, I've been a huge fan of that band for a long time now, and I've seen them play quite a few times, but this was like, definitely like you were talking about, like, it's not the same, like it was on another level. You could feel like that these guys are, I mean, like, it was special to them to really put in this sort of performance, and that really came across on, I think, every band, but you know, particularly that Enslaved set was just freaking unbelievable for me.
There were many times in many band sets where I would be like watching them, be like, yeah, this is really, really good. This is really, really engaging. And then I'd start to look around. I'd look at the Tetons in the background. I'd look at the Valley by Heart Six. And then it just like went up a level. I had a moment like that, especially with Yob, obviously Enslaved, especially with the sun setting. And Enslaved just has such a cool presence on stage. I described to my buddy Joe, they feel like the Iron Maiden of extreme metal. They're cool and they're like just badass, but they're not cheesy, and they feel like you could be your friend. But they also put on such an incredible show. But yeah, something about the environment. There were many times where I would just start looking around, and then I'd look back at the stage, and then just something would click, and it would hit that next level and just be a mind-blowing thing. Like the environment really, really does bring everything up.
Yeah, they're one of those rare bands. Like for me, I think that like they've got such a wide discography, and they don't have a bad album in my opinion. I wanted to tell.
Oh my God, they're one of the most influential bands for me as a person and my band.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they've had so many, you know, eras and different you know, trajectories in their sound, and still remain like the core of what they've been since the beginning. And yeah, Jeff, who's on the chat right now, he's a huge Enslaved fan. We did a Enslaved deep dive some time back, but yeah, dude, they did a really nice mix of stuff. I was surprised they did 2 tracks from Yggdrasil. Herdane's Land, which is like the first EP they ever put out. I was like really surprised by that. I was like, wow, they did 2 songs from that. But they did, you know, some of the stuff they did was pretty usual what they do, but you know, they did some of the new album, and it was a good mix for sure and of course, you know, they had that, it was kind of interesting to see like the Norwegians coupled with the Americana aspect of it. It kind of brought those 2 worlds together, in my opinion, like, you know, because that's kind of where a lot of the Americana black metal has gotten its influence from Norwegian black metal, you know, so it kind of was like a beautiful kind of moment to bring those two things together. And sure enough, the Norwegians, they have that really dry sense of humor like the Swedes do. I don't know if you ever seen Opeth, like dude's got like a really just dry sense of humor, but he's like talking about how Ice Dale's like the best tennis player in the band. And, like at the very end of the set, like they just put on this amazing performance, and like, the sun was coming down, and I was almost kind of waiting for them to say something like really like profound. And Brutally is like looking at the crowd, and he's just like, "You're simply the best." Like Tina Turner. I was like, what? It's like, that was just completely out of left field, and just like, I couldn't get over that, but it was hilarious. But they were just fun and really just utterly themselves throughout the whole thing.
Yeah, I saw that too with Wolves in the Throne Room, because they played last time, and since they kind of understood, I think, the energy and what they wanted to do, I loved how they set up their stage.
Oh yeah,
just all the props they had on it. And I love that Jeremy never allows any backdrops. The Teton's always the backdrop. We know who the bands are, and so I think Wolves in the Throne Room did a really great job of setting up the stage to kind of match the environment. It was getting dark. The lights, the lighting that they used.
Wolves blew me away the most.
Yeah, they put on a special performance.
And especially when they came out, like, before they started playing, they had that really weird, just like ambient stuff playing to kind of intro before they walked out, and I was like, oh my god, I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle this. This is so intense already.
Yeah, I was up front and center, like up by the gate. They had people walking around with smudge, and they were legitimately performing. And I knew they were going to do this. I'd seen live videos. But it was a whole other thing to actually be there, because I remember about the time they started walking around, the crowd around me, at least directly, went from like excited metalheads to everybody was in this meditative state and not talking. And Wolves is like one of my favorite bands. I knew what was about to happen, but like it was still just, that is not a mindset I've ever been in around people before, let alone in a live show setting. And yeah, Wolves fucking blew my mind. Like, the first 3 songs were amazing, but once Prayer of Transformation even started, I immediately started breaking into tears. I literally just had a fucking exorcism the whole time. And then into I Will Lay Down My Bones, like, best live music of anything I've ever seen. I did not talk for that entire set. I didn't touch my phone the entire set. It was the one band that I did not take a single picture of or a single video of. Like, as soon as they came out, I was like, I'm not touching this damn thing. I'm just gonna watch.
Yeah, they're definitely that elevated, and like they kind of, it was the cool thing about them too was that Aaron Weaver was back, because like for the last few years he wasn't really touring.
So glad he's playing.
And to me, he's a very integral part of the live experience of Wolves, because he just really personifies everything that they're about. And
I agree.
And plus he's an epic drummer too, So I mean, it was just cool to see him back, because I had seen them a couple times around when they released Thrice Woven, and they had a fill-in guy for a while. And it just, I mean, it was great. Of course, it just wasn't the same without Aaron there, though. And this time they really had it, man. They really had it dialed in on this one for sure.
Yeah, besides like their one technical thingy and Spirit of Lightning, like the show was completely immersive and beyond words.
Yeah.
And here we are trying to put words to it.
Oh yeah, and like that when you guys were talking about like how like you could like feel from the band's how special it was, but it was like that Visigoth set was like, I was really like blown away that they made that happen, because like, and I'm sure you would appreciate this, CJ, that like, when you're gonna perform live as a band, you want to be like your utmost best, right? I mean, you want to be completely, and without a band member, and the fact that those guys just said, fuck it, we're here, everybody wants to see us so bad, and they're going to understand. They're going to understand that it's not going to be perfect, and the guy did fine. I mean,
Andy did incredible.
I mean,
crazy to me that he played a set earlier that day too. Like he played in the Odalith, and
right, which was
like,
great. Yeah.
Like as a drummer, it's not impossible to learn songs really quickly. Because the cool thing about drums is you can listen to a song and figure out how to do it. You know, guitar, you need tabs or notes or anything. But yeah, that's crazy to me that he learned an entire set in under 24 hours. I don't know if he was practicing it or if he was just listening to the songs religiously and then just told the guys in Visigoth, "Yep, let's do it." And like, I'm not a power metal guy at all. I do not like Visigoth. I don't like Eternal Champion. I could not help but go and see Visigoth for like a song or two and just be in awe of what they were doing, knowing the context. And hell, that brings up another point I had. Even the bands that I didn't really like at the festival, I felt like I was cool with it. Just the vibe from everybody watching, the vibe from everyone on stage. It's like, yeah, maybe I don't really fuck with this music or, but like I can enjoy this performance and have I could not be in a bad mood the whole fucking weekend, no matter what. Like Nickelback could have got on stage and I would have been fine. Like,
yeah, with Andy, he's their sound engineer, so he did have some.
So he would know the songs.
Yeah, so he did have some experience with the songs, but just for a band to make themselves that vulnerable, like you said, they usually, they're so caught up on what kind of show they're gonna do and perfection and all that, but to feel that comfort level with an audience that we're like, hey, we're gonna go up there and throw this together because we got a curveball thrown at us, and we don't give a shit.
Yeah, they're just up there to have a good time,
have fun. And so, and like you said, even though it's not music that you listen to on a day-to-day basis on your Spotify or by the physical media, just, any music with that vibe and that atmosphere, just like you said, you just enjoy it. It's just, bands like Snakes, and Slim Cessna, the year before, and just kind of this dark country rock and roll. And
I would have loved Snakes so much more if Panopticon hadn't played right before them. I couldn't help but think that the whole fucking time was that this is really cool, upbeat, interesting, fun country, and I just heard the saddest fucking country of my life. I don't know if I can make this emotional switch this quickly.
Sure.
But yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
God, a crazy thing happened right after the Panopticon acoustic set. Me and my friend Joe, we were standing there like basically in tears, like almost, and then we kind of started to walk away as the rest of the crowd did. But then Charlie jumped off stage. It's like, CJ, come here. I turn around, I'm like, what does he want? He just finished a set. He's got to pack up his instrument. So I walk up to him at the gate, and he hands me a piece of paper that is not in this room right now, but he hands me a piece of paper. He's like, hey, Austin wanted you to have this. And I opened it up, and it's a set list that they did for that set. And I was like, oh, my gosh. And that just pushed me over the edge. Like, I know it's just a set list, but that was so cool.
Yeah, those personal things are really cool. Charlie's an awesome guy. Panopticon just played down in Denver a couple months ago for a True Brewing Festival, and I met up with them beforehand and got to get to know Charlie because he's kind of newer to the band, and he's just a great guy, full of energy, extremely talented.
I was probably talking to Charlie more than anybody else this weekend.
Yeah, he's a great guy to talk to. Just an instant rapport with him for sure, and like you said, they kind of go out of their way to make that connection. And as much as it's, just a piece of paper that has, the song titles written on it, it means a lot, to the fan. And it's just that little piece that you can kind of triggers those memories.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
That was another thing about it was the man, because I know, CJ, you were saying that, like, you'd been waiting for this for a long time and not having been to a lot of, shows, especially like festivals like this. Man, the sound was perfect. I mean, just about every band. I mean, of course there was some technical issues here and there, but I mean, there were many times I could not complain about the sound whatsoever. I mean, it just was.
Yeah, I had 2 complaints from the whole weekend. The bass and Wayfarer's set cut out a couple times. Whatever.
That's right. Mhm.
And the lead guitar for Wolves in the Throne Room was a little quiet for the first half of the set. That's it.
Yeah.
Every other band sounded immaculate.
Yeah, and you know who really sounded amazing was Obsequii. They were.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, dude, the sound was perfect, and like they had like 3 guitarists because I mean, like if you know this band, I mean they it's very
Makes
like
sense.
layered. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guitar layers to the music, and you know they don't play live very often, and they really the guy I forget his name who's the main guy in this band, but he
Tanner.
That's right. He really pulled together an amazing lineup to do that, to recreate this in the live setting, and it just it really came across as good as it does on the record. I feel like.
Oh yeah, like
I was really
my
excited
favorite.
for them. I was really excited for them from when it was first announced, 3 years ago, because they came on pretty big, in the vinyl scene. They had a lot of talk about them, and I picked up the album based on some friends' recommendations and put it on. And like you said, the layering that they have, it's just very unique. And I was very interested in seeing them, and they killed it. They were awesome. That whole lineup on Sunday. Sunday was just amazing set. Amazing set. It was just so stacked.
Yeah, the Sunday set. Yeah. No, Kellen,
Saturday had
the harp, but no harp, but
wish we did. Saturday had Saturday had 3 mind-blowing, fantastic sets to me, which for me were Dreadnought, Wayfarer, Enslaved. But yeah, it felt, especially on the main stage, Sunday was just band after band after band after band, just blowing everybody away. But yeah, Obsequii was incredible, and it was really cool. I actually got a chance to meet one of the guitarists who was actually standing next to Tanner on stage, Carl. He played bass on the most recent Canis Dirus split, that I drummed on. So it's kind of crazy that me and him are on the same release, and we had never met before. We'd only talked a couple times, and his work with Inexorum is fucking crazy.
Amazing.
So I went up initially to Tanner just to kind of introduce myself, be like, hey, love your work. Funny enough, I actually texted him a little while ago asking him if he was willing to record Hammered Dulcimer for my band, but he basically said no, it's too much effort. And then we got into a long conversation about why it's too much effort. But no, I got to meet Carl, who's a really, really cool guy. And then I learned that their vocalist is the same guy behind Obsidian Tongue, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was like, geez, like how many superstars does he have in his lineup?
I didn't know that. That's a great record too. That last Obsidian Tongue record. I didn't realize.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that was
fucking incredible.
Really good. Yeah. I hope they continue that. Because I met. I got to meet Carl briefly as well. I've actually I've been trying to get him on the stream. Actually, I'm hoping to have him on at one of these points because that all that in the Inexorum stuff is really incredible. Incredible music, Steve. I don't know if you've heard those guys, but that was really cool stuff. They're on Gilead Media. They just released a new record.
Everything on Gilead Media is fire.
Yeah, everything. I mean, they don't have a bad band on there. I think Yellow Eyes is on there, and But Carl and the other guy in Exorum, I got to talk to him for a little bit. I forget his name, but totally nice guy. He was at the merch booth. I slept. I don't know about you guys, but like when you go to these festivals, you got to be really not stealth, but you got to be really cunning about how you approach the merch because you never really know when something's going to come out. And if you miss it, it's gone. So I missed the Obsequii shirts and I wasn't able to get one. Luckily enough, I was able to get a Fest shirt and a hoodie. And I got one of the Visigoth tour shirt. I mean, the festival specific shirts. I think they were really the only one I saw that had a festival specific shirt, but I mean, when I would try to get a Yob shirt, they were sold out. I mean, a lot of stuff sold out like really quickly.
Austin had a festival inspired shirt that they're going to use that they just brought out. It wasn't, it was kind of the artwork was meant for Fire, but he's going to use it for the European tour. And on that note, since Jeremy's not here, I'll put the plug in for him. I don't know if you guys saw, but on Friday, they're going to open up merch sales again for festival merch, for T-shirts, hoodies, flags, anything that you miss. There's going to be kind of a pre-order open window, and they're going to do a second printing. So if you did miss any of the festival stuff, then it's going to be available again on Friday, I think was the post a couple days ago.
Yeah, I think they put a post up. That was the one thing I jumped on immediately on Friday. I went immediately to the tent and bought a T-shirt and a hoodie.
I get the VIP ticket specifically for the merch so that I know it's reserved for me.
Yeah.
Funny enough,
at the Death Fest, man, they didn't have anything. I mean, like all this stuff was sold out in the pre-sale, so they didn't. I mean, now you can get some of the shit. I get the posters and the T-shirts.
I pre-ordered the poster, which they didn't. They only were doing pre-orders at MDF, and then I waited in line the first day and was able to get a bunch of the MDF merch, but it sold out on Thursday afternoon because that's when the fest starts. And we were talking about the set list, CJ, and just the little things that some of the artists do and all that, and that's when I got this out. Austin came up to me and he handed me this.
I saw your post.
And most people are, oh, it's a drum head, no big deal. But, and Austin told me he used it to record Autumn Eternal. And you just kind of look at it and the beating it's taken. And it's just got that character and personality and these little things that, I personally believe are kind of artifacts, and they need to be kind of preserved, and and just because so many of these things throughout the years have just kind of gone to waste. And as insignificant as it seems to a lot of people, there's people that will appreciate it being taken care of and passed on. So it's really cool. And that's
when I saw you post that, I was over the moon. I think funny enough, I was actually talking to
He had me in tears. I gave him a big hug, crying. I'm like, you just blew me away. So Austin's a massive Death fan. He wears a Death shirt underneath everything every single day of his life. I don't know if you guys know that or not.
Yeah.
But
I'm like that with Panopticon. I have like 15 or 20 Panopticon shirts.
Right. So that's kind of the connection that me and Austin originally had was I'm a massive Death fan, and I actually have a bunch of Chuck's handwritten lyrics, and I've collected a lot of stuff from him. And we were just down in Tampa at the Brass Mugs. I'm guessing the Brass Mug down in Tampa, CJ. Yeah. So we put on myself and two other friends put together a show for Chuck's 20th passing, and I had a bunch of extra merch. I got a poster signed by all the guys that were in our show, and I gave it all to Austin and Denver. And it's about getting the right things to the right people so that they can enjoy them and cherish them. And that's kind of my mindset with collecting, and that's kind of my mindset with, some of the things. I'm like, Austin would really like this, and so he couldn't make it down to the show. So,
far.
It's just such a cool feeling getting the right things to the right people that appreciate them, and it's just the community that it brings.
Well, Steve, you should put together honestly, and I mean this, you should put together a YouTube channel and show your collection off, because I was looking at some of your stuff and I was like, holy,
I definitely been collecting a lot. It's right behind me. I'll give you I got my laptop, but I'll give you a quick little tour if you want.
Yeah, sure, man. Show us. I mean,
take us on an adventure.
Right.
Oh shit.
It looks like a record store in there.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going for. I'm in commercial construction, so I was able to kind of, know what I wanted to do and be able to do it. So like on the back wall there, those are some of Chuck's lyrics, and everything here. And then, it's just a record store style. I did, collected all the picture discs and sacrificed them to the vinyl gods and did a clear epoxy. So I have vinyl flooring, is what we call it.
You literally have the dream set up.
Oh, yeah, well, it was. I was fortunate enough to be able to design my own house, and because I'm in commercial construction and I general contracted it, and it's exactly what I did. Is I built my dream space. I have a wall along here. These are all autographed, and a few autographed guitars. And so,
God, I thought my collection was decent, but
so, well, it's about quality, not quantity.
Have only been
mine can be a little excessive at times too. There's no way I'll be able to listen to every record that I have, in my lifetime. Which
I haven't listened
sucks,
to
and
a good
I
chunk
know
of
them all, and that's why I like the record store style, like that, is because a lot of times I'll just wander to a spot back there with just kind of an open mind and just start flipping through records until I'm like, something grabs my attention, and it kind of keeps me interested, rather than like thinking about what album I want to listen to and then going and getting it from the collection. When you do that, at least for me personally, I kind of get stuck in a rotation of, it might be a couple hundred albums, it might be 500 albums, but it's still those kind of same 500 albums,
Yeah, I've got about 30 or 40 records that I listen to probably once a week.
Right, exactly. And that's one thing that, I kind of don't like a little bit about this collection is some of the bands that I get turned on to now, it's hard for me to go back and really listen to their whole catalog and really get to know them and their album names and their songs, and all that. Whereas I pretty much know bands by their album covers, and so it's difficult because I'm jumping around all over the place to really kind of get to know one band really well. I have to really focus on it and and read the liner notes, who's in it, listen to them. So there's pros and cons. It's a little excessive, to be honest with you, at times. But
there's only so many hours. Yeah, there's only so many hours in the day, and there's too much fucking music.
Yeah, and
it's like the same problem.
Yeah, when I'm, just having a tough day or whatever, you can just kind of go in and just kind of get lost in it, So.
Yeah, it's like you can take a walk back there and you're like, oh, man, I think I'd like to buy this one. No. Oh, wait a minute. It's mine.
Yeah, there's no cash register.
It's mine.
Yeah. It's the record store with no cash register.
That's
Yeah.
Cool. I'm going to run and turn those lights off in the back.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's clear there.
Well, it's kind of the collector mindset. It gets kind of crazy, It's like, the deeper you go, the deeper you want to just keep buying everything that you can and realize that you're never going to listen to all this shit, But it's fun, though, I didn't even really.
I limit myself. For broke 20-year-old budget reasons. And I'm still kind of moving around. Like I just moved a couple weeks ago, in a year, moved to an apartment. And, I think I can flip this, but like the extent of my collection is not very big. I'll just walk over there.
Well, and you're young. You got a long way of collecting.
Yeah, I got 20. I got 27 years on you, CJ.
Yeah.
27
it's
years.
Funny. I would argue. Yeah, I've probably been collecting for 3, 4, maybe.
Right.
But yeah, budget reasons, I have to restrict myself, as well as if I go over that bookcase, like how the fuck am I going to move stuff around? I don't have a house. I'm not planted in one spot right now. And there's a minor fear of mine that like 5-6 years from now, if I make like a major move, I'm going to have a lot of fucking vinyl to move. And I don't know. But like, I definitely don't like really limit myself. I kind of start with stuff that I already really really love. Like I'd say about each one of those squares is about this big maybe, and the square with all of my panopticon stuff, I'm not kidding, takes up this much space. Like it's just half of it is panopticon. I have every studio album that has been released on LP and pretty much every split and EP that I want. There's like a couple that I'm missing, but it's a hilarious percentage that
Did you get the
Panopticon takes up of my
Decibel
collection.
disc?
And I would argue that no, I didn't get that. I'd argue Binder and Recordings is probably half of my collection.
Yeah.
Between Panopticon, Falls of Raros, a handful of other bands like Volga Fluster, or maybe more accurately like Blind Rune and Profound Lore, maybe throw Gilead Media in there. Yeah, they're over half my collection.
Right.
Yeah. Well, I kind of you figure out what works for you. I mean, like I still like personally, I collect all three formats still, and I kind of just pick and choose what I decide to get on vinyl versus what I'll pick up on CD or cassette. I've kind of got my own, and everybody I think kind of has their own guidelines on how they do that. That works for themselves, and that really kind of comes down to whether you're mostly into a certain format. I mean, like look at Brain Smasher's CD collection. Got like a freaking gigantic wall of CDs, and he just does like a little bit of vinyl. Like Tyler, I know you do. Just you're kind of like Brain Smasher. Your CDs, he's got a whole CD wall kind of thing. But it's just like I've always you kind of just like figure out what works for you and your budget, I guess. And like I still like for me, I personally just like to have a physical copy of a record that I dig. No matter what it is, and I might choose what format it is, but the vinyl is usually set for the stuff that I really love, and the cool thing about vinyl is like it's so easily resellable. If you don't want to hold on to it, you can easily kind of pass it on and usually get what you paid for it. Like I don't know if you do that, Steve, or if you just keep everything that you've got. It looks like you keep everything you've got.
I don't sell much, but my duplicates are starting to take up too much space, so I am starting to sell a lot of my duplicates. I try not to have
dupes.
Because
I
buy a lot of duplicates when I purchase from European labels. It's like 20 euros to ship one record or 30 euros to ship 6. So it's kind of a no-brainer. And I have a really good, tight community of friends that I've met, through social media, that are all, metal vinyl collectors. And so what I do a lot of times too is I'll buy a couple, and then one of my friends down the road is like, man, I missed out on those, and they're flipping them for $100 on Discogs. And I'll come in and I'll be like, hey, just pay me what I paid. And, I get them into the hands of the right people. Like I was saying before, I'm just really big on supporting, my collection. It's an addiction for me. I'm always looking for, something, but also being able to, support other people and getting the right albums in the right hands. Because with this vinyl surge that we've had over the last 5 years, some of it gets ridiculous. Certain labels are, limited to 106 different variants, and they sell out in minutes, and people are flipping them, and that gets frustrating when you see the people that want to buy one copy for their collection to listen to, and they can't get one because some guy some guy bought 4 so he can make a profit on Discogs.
It's fucking frustrating, man. Seriously. Like I've had to learn how to navigate the record buying world, both from labels and on secondhand, pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And I'm already fed up.
Another reason why I do it too is just to hold on to them and kind of keep them in the vault. Like I remember when I found a Iron Maiden Seventh Son that had never been opened, original pressing from 1988.
Oh my God.
That and the joy that I had, and I got a Scream Bloody Gore, the first Death album that has never been opened, that was from Chuck's collection. So I kind of think of that hopefully down the road, all the duplicates and stuff that I've kept sealed and in good condition, that 30 years down the road, somebody's going to be as psyched to get those as I was to get these albums, that were, from back in the 80s and 90s. So that's kind of my thought process.
Oh, they will definitely circulate at some point, I'm sure. I mean, especially those Death records. I mean, it's funny because they went crazy on repressing all those Death records on Relapse. I think they're still pressing them, and they're still selling out.
Yeah, it's quite a circus. But
I've gotten pretty lucky sometimes. But yeah. But so as much fun as I'm having, genuinely, I'm 2 hours in front of you guys, and I have work in the morning. So I think I'm gonna need to wrap it up here soon. I
got my kids here too as well, so I've really enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
But I'm happy. This has been a lot of fun.
Oh my God, yeah, we definitely talk more in the future. Funny thing I noticed though, Jimmy, you like somebody. Hunter actually was my friend trying to fucking embarrass me, so which was kind of funny. But anyways, yeah, this has been really, really fun. I'm totally down to do more streams and talk more in the future about random stuff. I'm always down to talk about my band and self-plug a little bit more.
One thing, CJ, I don't know if you know this connection, but your band name, Dire Wolf, is also the name of a Grateful Dead song. So you have
I know Todd probably knew that when he came up with it all those years ago.
Are you talking about Canis Dirus?
Yeah, which means Dire Wolf.
I joined Canis Dirus.
I just thought that was.
I joined Canis Dirus. Such a good album. Mm-hmm. I joined Canis Dirus like about a year ago now, which is unfortunate because actually it was 2 years ago now. I just missed out on Independence of the Beast. There's not real drums on that record. But all the new stuff is gonna have real drums. But yeah, I obviously wasn't around for the founding of Dirus. That was over 10 years. I was a small boy. But yeah, Amun is I guess where my real passion lies. Not that I don't love Canis Dirus. It's so much fun to work with Todd and Rob actually lives around here in Columbus. But yeah, Amun's where we do some crazy shit. For anybody who doesn't know, it's like experimental.
I'm not familiar with that project of yours. I gotta check that out.
Experimental, progressive, black metal-ish. It's a little all over the place. The record that we do have out, The City, I am very proud of it. And I have heard a lot of people have given us a lot of praise. But what we have taken up for album number 2 is it makes that look like chump shit. Just a funny way of saying I'm very excited for what we're working on right now. It's a fucking double album. It's huge. I actually finished the drums for it about 3 weeks ago. So keeping on the subject of what you were saying earlier, I'm probably going to save that drum head when I finally blow through it. Maybe somebody down the line will actually be interested. But yeah.
Yeah, I actually listened to the record twice today, the City.
Mm-hmm.
Check it out, Steven. Hopefully you guys get a vinyl pressing of that at some point. But really cool, guy. Really cool, man. I'm really looking forward to see what you guys do. Obviously, it's a lot of music for sure. But I think I managed to stay pretty engaged throughout the entire thing. It's very varied. A lot of stuff going on.
It's a little all over the place. It's probably my one complaint about it, honestly, which is funny because I was there for the writing process. I think the new stuff is a whole lot more focused and less weird. But like hell, even like the fake instrument MIDI demos, some of them like moved me when I first heard them back. I was like, oh my god, this is something else. So, but yeah. Once it's done, I have like a list of people that are gonna be like first to hear it. They're gonna get that zip file before it ever comes out. So if we keep talking, maybe I'll add you guys to it. it would be really cool to get opinions though. But yeah, I can hop off here and get going. I'm already getting tired and I don't want to work in the morning, but I gotta pay the bills.
Absolutely, man.
But yeah, thank you for Jimmy. Seriously, thank you for having me on. This was really fun. It was fucking awesome to meet you, Steve. For real.
Yeah, nice
Didn't know
meeting
you were
guys, for sure.
alien suit guy. And
Yeah,
I know we'll probably talk more in the future, but I do also have a feeling that eventually one of these days our paths will cross again. We'll be able to talk and bullshit in person.
we'll see you at Fire in the Mountains 2024.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah,
Like Jeremy said, it'll happen. I'm just not sure where.
Definitely.
Mm-hmm.
One way or another, I'm sure they'll make it work.
Yeah.
Yep,
well,
definitely.
CJ, thanks for doing this, man. I appreciate it. And we'll certainly
thank you for having me.
We'll collaborate again soon for sure. I mean, I'm trying to keep this thing going, when I can. And I just enjoy just kind of getting on and talking about music and stuff. So yeah, dude, for sure. I really appreciate it. So we'll definitely be in touch.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much. Thank you guys. I'm gonna hop off now, and I hope you guys have a fantastic night and good rest of your week and all that fun stuff.
Cheers, man.
Right on. Cheers.
All right. See you guys.
Cool.
Steve,
Yeah,
you need to jump too, or are you?
Yeah, I think I probably will. We got the kids here and the dogs outside. So yeah, it's been really nice meeting you, and thanks for reaching out to me. We'll have to get together and climb a mountain. So I don't know.
Dude, that would be sick, dude. I'm trying to. I'm getting close to finishing the 14ers. I've got just a handful left. Most of the ones around. You're really just the elks, just most of the hard elks left, because I'm kind of like class 3, class 4 level. I'm not really kind of at the real mountaineering level, but
sure.
Kind of just been slowly breaking my way. But I'm kind of more just like usually just hiking, backpacking, kind of knocking off some centennials here and there. But also, if you're ever hitting up shows in Denver, let me know. I'm usually I was at that True Brewing show as well.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah, it was killer. But yeah, for sure, man. I mean, we'll definitely maybe try to hook up sometime, and maybe one of these days down the line, if you would be down for it, I'd like to have you back on and talk more about your hiking and climbing experience and stuff. Because like I said, I mean, that's kind of what this channel is all about. Is it's not just the music, it's that stuff too, and I'm trying to focus on this sort of community of people that are into these things, and so yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cool, for sure. Yeah, I'm working on the centennials. I got 10 left to get everything above 13.8, which is 106 peaks in Colorado. So I got 96 of them done. I got all the 14ers done a while ago. I got 96 of them done, and I got 10 more left. And then I'm retiring and just doing valley backpacking, so just a few more for me. So yeah, we should get together at a show or a hike sometime for sure.
That'd be really cool. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought I would do after I finish the 14ers. Is I'm just going to focus on valley backpacking at that point. But then you start doing the centennials, and it's like you keep just kind of going above. I mean, I got a hiking partner that finished the centennials a couple of years ago, and he just freaked out and just went every day and just worked on it.
Yeah, you got to be pretty motivated, because those high 13ers are a lot harder than a lot of the 14ers.
Yeah.
So, but they're a lot more adventurous and fun too. So
yeah, for sure, man. We'll keep in touch, man.
Right on. Sounds good. Take care, everybody. For any of you guys that watched us, I appreciate listening to us. Take care.
Thanks, Steve.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I'm going to bring in Jeff real quick, and we're going to kind of just shoot the shit for a little bit longer. I'm not really quite ready to end, but yeah, we could have really just spent all night talking about Fire in the Mountains. There's actually a lot more stories and things that we didn't really get to, but yeah, I mean, you kind of hopefully got an idea of what it was like for us. So I'm just going to send this over to Jeff. Let's see if he can jump on. Hey guys, anybody in the stream, if you want to jump on for a little bit, I was going to hang out for a little bit and just chill, and we can talk a little bit more about Fire in the Mountains if you want to. But let's see who we got here. Everybody that jumped on, thanks for joining. This was kind of a little goofy to try to coordinate, just because I don't know all these guys, and trying to get Jeremy on, but I think it really worked out and it's really cool. Tyler and I don't know if Ryan's still on. What up, dude? I hope you're doing well. Go catch the early part of the stream. It was pretty interesting. We had Jeremy on. And without further ado, hello, sir.
Hey, what's up, man?
Oh, not too much, man.
Man, I really wanted to chat with Steve, man. That collection is insane. Come on.
Unbelievable.
Are you fucking kidding me, man? What?
Dude.
Well, not only that, the house too. Did he say he built his house?
Dude, I don't know if it was well, he's I think he said he was a independent contractor or whatever. And
yeah, commercial what did he say? Commercial or residential? Construction.
I think it was commercial, I thought he said.
That's what I thought he said, yeah. So but that house was unreal, man. I was like, wow, actually when I saw it, I'm like, is he like still out in, at some lodge out there? So it looked like a hunting lodge or like a, you know what I mean? Like a chalet or so. When you have him on, man, you gotta have him on your hiking show, like you said, man, and talk to him because that is badass. I apologize for my name, by the way. There, my name is not Peter Norse Cannon of Love.
This is Jeff from Metal Madness 66.
Yeah,
so,
well, the other
go back and edit that.
Saturday night we did a different stream, and we were all making up funny fucking names. So, yeah, man, that was a good show. CJ was having some issues with his internet, but other than that, and he, you could just tell he was super stoked and excited, and that's so cool. And I am so fucking jealous of all you guys, man. Just so jealous. Like,
yeah, dude, it was something, man. I mean, I wish you I really wish all you guys could have been there. It was really quite the experience for sure. I mean, it was definitely very very different from anything that I've ever been to in terms of like, music shows.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Did they were they sold out that you know of, or don't you
I don't
really
think
know?
they were. I think
Okay.
I meant to ask Jeremy that, but I was kind of guessing that maybe it was like close to 1,000 people that were there, but and then I read somewhere else that it was about 1,500. So I would say it was between 1,000 and maybe 1,200.
Well, when I saw some of the pictures that and some of the video, now there's some videos that have been popping up over the last maybe last week or so. And it looks like a nice sizable crowd. It doesn't look crazy huge because there's probably a space limitation, probably permits only allowed so many people on, but it just looked like it was a little bigger than I kind of expected. For some reason I'm thinking when I watched Fire in the Mountain stuff from maybe 3, 4, 5 years ago, like when Panopticon was there and Wolves, it looked a little bit more like scaled down, like maybe 600 people or something like that.
Oh, this was definitely, I mean, this was like they expanded it as much as they could this time. I mean, like, obviously, I mean, this was supposed to happen like 3 years ago.
Yeah,
and,
right.
Like Jeremy was saying, I mean, they really worked their butts off to expand it to the level that they did. The last few years that they did it, it was only one stage. Well, this iteration, it was a lot like Death Fest in that there was 2 stages and they were going back and forth, kind of like they were at the Death Fest. So it was. I mean, there was a lot. They changed where the camping area was like a lot closer to the festival ground, and everything was just a lot more like, I guess, better set up. Because I was talking to some of the guys that were there, in previous years, and they were telling me, man, the campground was like way up on the bluff up there. They had to walk like a mile just to get back to the campground. This time, like the campground was like right. Like it was like right
adjacent to it. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like right there. And then there was the parking lot not far from there. So it was really easy to like get from your campsite to like your car. So you can go like get food or whatever. And then from the campsite, it was like the festival ground was like right next to it, like really close. So it was really easy.
Do you have any idea of like what percentage of people motored in from local hotels versus stayed there?
Yeah, no, there was, I mean, there was a whole section of campers and like, RVs and stuff. Like, so they had it partitioned. Like there was like one area that was for like the car camping, people that were sleeping in their cars, like, or RVs or whatever it was. Right. Then there was the parking area, and then there was the tent area. So they had it all set up and kind of differently from each other. And it was like and they had like like porta potties like in each section, so it was really easy, very very convenient, very like clean. I mean, like they were cleaning out the porta potties every day. I mean, honestly, the Death Fest was pretty clean. They did a good job.
Was it really? Was it really?
Yeah, yeah. Hey, what's up, Tyler?
Hey,
Hey,
Tyler,
what's
what's
up,
up, dude? How's it going, man?
Good.
But yeah, dude, I mean, it was very, very well put together. And honestly, like they were saying, like, I mean, people really like respected the place and practiced the sort of no trace kind of idea, because you could tell, I mean, you were on these cowboys like, land, and here's this big black metal fest, whatever. And you could see that people were very mindful of that. And I think they accomplished
awesome.
what they really wanted to accomplish by making sure that people were respectful of the place and treated it the way they should. I mean, people were getting hammered and stuff, but not to the extent to where like they were just like completely
Stupid.
out of their minds. Yeah. I mean, like, people were very respectful. I didn't see one person that was out of line the entire time.
It's ironic you bring that up, because I just watched the Netflix thing about Woodstock '99, and I remember when that happened, I was an eyelash away from going to that. Me and a couple buddies were like, "Yeah, let's go." I mean, at that point in time, there was I forget who even played, but like I think Korn was a headliner, and like Limp Bizkit was there. There was all these different things. But man, watching that, I am so goddamn glad I was nowhere near that place. Give me a time machine. I'd go back to 1969 and go to Woodstock every day of the week for no questions asked. But boy, I don't think you could pay me to go to Woodstock '99. It was just unbelievable how fucking disgusting it turned out to be, and just violent and awful. And it's like just the antithesis of that is what Fire in the Mountains is all about. It's communing with nature, communing with your fellow man, respecting nature, all that kind of shit. And that's super cool. I missed like the first 15 minutes, so I didn't get to see all of what Jeremy had to say, but that's cool that you had him on, man.
Yeah, well, that kind of came out. The guy Steve that you guys just saw. I'm gonna try and have, like you were saying, I'm gonna try and have him on more, because he's
Definitely
accomplished, sort of hiker, mountaineer. But I came across his stuff on Instagram, and he's a good friend of Jeremy, so that's kind of how that came about. It was kind of just by chance, and Jeremy's a pretty busy guy, so we couldn't really have him on for too long. But
now, is he out in Wyoming? Is that where he lives?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He lives like pretty close, Jackson Hole, which is like probably an hour or two drive to where the festival itself was. It's literally at the very, like, the Heart Six Ranch is like it's right before the entrance into the Grand Teton National Park. And so, like, I don't even know if it's considered Jackson Hole, but I mean, it's literally like you're on the road, you turn off into the ranch, you go a little bit further to the down the road, and you hit the national park boundary.
Oh, wow.
You're in it. And then from there, you have like a 30-minute drive to Yellowstone, because you go through the Grand Teton National Park, and then right bordering on the north side of the Tetons is the Yellowstone border. So like, it's literally like right there. I mean, it looks really cool in pictures, but I mean, just to be there kind of in person, it's crazy, because you kind of drive down like into this, when you see it, it's like this huge valley, open meadow kind of valley. And it's pretty crazy, like driving in and like looking over to the right. I was like, holy shit, there it is, man. Wow. It's just
there's a stage there.
Yeah.
I mean,
it was
there.
just huge. I mean, what they did with it. And I mean, once you get into like I said, I mean, it was very similar to what you saw at MDF with the two stages, kind of catty corner. And then they had tents set up, they had food vendors. They had, even like down to the wristbands were kind of similar to what they did at MDF. One of the things I almost wanted to ask Jeremy was if they had gotten some advice from the MDF guys, because there was a lot of things that I'd found were kind of similar into the way things worked, but yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I mean, they really expanded it this year to what it was this time. And it was a lot more than what it's been in the past. So hopefully they can continue it,
Yeah, well, so if I heard him correctly, they're not going to do it in 23. They're going to do it in 24.
Yeah, well, I mean, if
Because
they,
of
if they do
permits
it
and
again, it'll be 2024. Yeah,
yeah,
they don't have enough time to get the permits and just trying to get like
get
everything.
the band
Yeah,
scheduled and yeah.
yeah, because I mean, it's not like I mean, they really you can tell they really specifically handpicked the bands for this thing. Like it wasn't like they just looked and saw who's on tour right now.
Right.
You know, I mean, it was totally like these are who we want for this thing because it fits the whole idea of what they're trying to do. You know?
Well, speaking of that, what were your like top 3 moments like band wise that you saw that really stood out to you? Yeah, I know you said Obsequiat kind of blew you
Yeah.
away.
I mean, getting to see Nachachwin was a big deal, even though like he kind of he didn't have his full band because one of his other guitar player that's on the records got COVID apparently. So it was literally just him and a drummer. And that was for the acoustic sets Friday night. And he was great. I mean, like, you know, just because I'm such a huge fan. So it was a big moment for me. But you know,
does he sing?
He did. Yeah, they both did. The drummer sang. I mean,
I didn't know that because I thought Andrew was the singer. Is Andrew just the black metal?
No, he is
singer?
too. He sings too. Okay. But no, Aaron does a lot of the vocals.
Okay, I didn't realize that. Okay,
yeah. So he did a good bit of it. Let's see. Steve Von Till was amazing. Mike's acoustic set from Yob, that was pretty special because you know you don't really get to see that very often. And it was like right when the sun was going down, and you know he did like Marrow and like some of the more melodic stuff from the albums. So when they did the Yob set was completely just
all heavy stuff.
Heavy, you know, like older stuff.
I saw they did I think the shit, what's the name of the song? The one, the ocean in the title. Fuck.
Adrift in
the ocean. Yeah. And I think he broke a string during it, right?
Yeah.
Like and he didn't have another guitar, so he had to restring the guitar.
Yeah, and they did it really quickly. I mean, it's
crazy.
It came up pretty quick. But yeah, man, the Wolves in the Throne Room set was just, I mean, unreal. I mean, all the you know, the Enslaved and Wolves sets were both, you know, pretty exceptional.
Insane.
For both. There was a band that played called Haunter, and I got their CD.
I've heard of them.
They're a newer band, and they kind of exist in that sort of blood incantation realm. It's
okay.
It's like just like kind of cosmic Gorguts style like death metal.
Oh wow!
And that was really cool because like I mean the majority of the bands, I mean there was such a diverse lineup. I mean, and you would have thought it would have been mostly black metal bands because that was kind of the whole vibe of it was a black metal kind of thing, but really it wasn't. I mean there was a lot of different types of stuff. So I mean, but these guys were. It was cool to see that they brought on like a full on like real death metal band to kind of balance out. And these guys were the death metal representatives of the fest. Wow. And they're new.
I gotta check them out.
It's cool. I mean, it's if you like Blake.
I've seen some hype on those guys.
What's that?
I've seen a lot of hype on those guys in a couple of the Facebook groups. I'm part of. They're big fans of that band. I should probably check it out.
They were good. Yeah. If you like Gorguts kind of stuff, they're kind of like that. But like if you took Gorguts and Blood Incantation kind of just kind of otherworldly kind of death metal kind of stuff.
I have to be in the mood for that kind of stuff, but I don't mind it.
Mm-hmm. Well, it was, and the other band that they had representing the death metal sort of realm was Chornobog, which I've tried to listen to them and I couldn't get into it, but seeing them live kind of changed my mind. They were badass.
Markov is an amazing musician.
Yeah. What's his name again?
Markov.
That's the main guy.
He's originally from Ukraine.
Oh wait, is that the dude that has like 6 or 7 projects?
Yeah, Ariel and like a bunch of different projects. Me and him go back a few years.
Yeah, what's his name again?
Markov. Soroka.
Yeah. That's the dude. He has the one is kind of an aqua water trilogy of albums.
It's a Drown or something like that.
That's it. Yeah.
One of his projects. Like Ariel is kind of the atmospheric black metal thing, and then he's got another one that's like it's all in Ukraine, but it's like Slavic sounding black metal. It's just wild and crazy.
He lives in the States though.
He's based out of
Chicago.
Well, he moved around. Like, I think he's in St. Louis now. He was in Portland for a little while, and then I think he moved to St. Louis.
So I know who you're talking about, that Chornabog. It's they have an album. Is it just one album or is there two?
There's just the one album.
Yeah, it's like orange. The cover is orange, has like a creature on it or a monster looking like
Yeah, it's
thing.
got like that pyramid and it's got like an eye
Dude,
on it.
I love that fucking album. I heard that about 2 years ago. I'm like, what is this, dude? That guy's talented as hell.
It's really
man.
out there. I mean, like
Yeah.
I didn't spend enough time with it. I listened to it and I was like, wow, this is live. It was, I mean, I don't know if he's, I mean, I think he's like kind of a one man. So like the band he had playing with the drummer he had was great. But I mean, they were really like,
So they
I mean,
played
like,
at this one? They played
Yeah.
at this one? Wow.
That's it.
Yeah. That's it. I love that album actually, and I kind of fell into it by accident. What's the name of it?
Wait, show that again.
Here, hold on a second.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the name of the album?
It's just Chornabog. It's
It's just-
self-titled.
okay, yeah. That dude, I ran into that like 2.5 years ago on, I can't even remember, on YouTube, and I was like, this is fucking trippy. It's really kind of psychedelic and fucking spacey, and
It's very out
yeah.
It's right. It's like for me, it was like, well, maybe it's because I know the guy. Because like I said, I go back with him a number of years because he was part of a couple other projects when he was real young. And that's why I first connected with him on Facebook. But no, Chornabog for me is like an enjoyable Portal. Like I can't stand Portal for shit, but I like that Chornabog album a lot.
I would never have called that.
Well, it's just
Like-
that he just that out there sometimes.
It's murky,
Yeah.
and it's got
Yeah.
but I wouldn't, man. Portal's so weird unto themselves and they keep getting weirder.
Well-
The more they keep going along, the weirder they get. You know.
That murkiness you brought up, that's why I bring that comparison, because
Yeah,
Portal's murky, but it's like, I will say this about Portal though, that's the only band that I've listened to that, like while I'm listening to it, I felt physically ill.
It's
Like
unsettling.
I actually felt sick to my stomach, like
Yep.
or it's like
Yeah,
I was adrift in the ocean and getting seasick.
Yeah, I
It was weird,
remember
Growing up fishing, I never got that.
a buddy of mine said, you got to check this band out, and I went out and checked out like Glummer Funnel, and then there is one song that I do like. Curtain is pretty trippy. You ever see the video for that?
Probably some time ago.
It is just unsettling as hell, man. I mean, it is purely fucking evil. But everything I've checked out after that, it's like, it's so dissonant and repetitive and so much blast beats that I'm like, it's almost sounds just like noise to me for the most part, and I just can't get into it, you know. Hey,
Well,
Jimmy,
like,
how was
watching
Woven
live
Hand?
videos of? Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was curious about Woven Hand because that's David Eugene Edwards, who was the main guy in 16 Horsepower, and I fucking love 16 Horsepower. It's one of those, you know, I call them evil metal country because they're almost like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with them, 16 Horsepower, but super fucking cool, man. It's like revivalist, evil revivalist music. It almost sounds like you could, you know, drive into the deep south somewhere and pull into a tent and hear fire and brimstone coming out of like three dudes, and yet it's fucking heavy. It's heavy, but it's not heavy metal at all. It's more almost in a weird way. It's almost like weird evil country. And Woven Hand's a little bit more streamlined and a little bit more kind of, I don't want to say mainstream because it's not, but they almost have like a punk ethos to them, a little bit of a punky vibe to them. And was it just cool. Him, or was it the whole band?
It was just him.
Oh, it was just him. Okay.
And yeah, he was, man, fantastic. I mean, I'd never really heard his stuff before, but he just did, you know, there was like a lot of like, I don't even really know how to describe his music, but I mean, like, it was interesting because he went on right after Chornabog. No. He went on right after Haunter.
Wow, that's
weird.
What
was so crazy because like the lineup, it was like it really bounced around. Like you'd have a death metal band, then you'd have Woven Hand, you know, and like or like before like Austin did his Panopticon set. Right before that, there was a band called Lycotonin. I think it's guys from Wayfarer and Blood and Kent.
Yeah.
And it's really like it's their new band, and it's really weird, psychedelic, like crazy, like maybe borderline like Portal kind of stuff, you know, which I wasn't totally tuned into it. But right after he played, then Austin does an acoustic set. It was really
Wow.
interesting that the the dichotomy, just the difference.
Okay,
in
so
the
wait a
lineup.
minute. So Austin did an acoustic set, it wasn't a full band. So.
No, it was just
Okay.
him and two violin players, and he did.
Okay.
So he did like most of his set was most of his own stuff, and then later Sunday night after Wolves was done, he did a campfire set of just like Blaze Foley covers and shit like that.
Yeah, like Towns Van Zandt and shit like
Yeah,
that.
but the Woven Hand set was really, really cool. I really enjoyed him, and I don't even know how to describe it. I mean, I hadn't like noticed there was like some David Bowie kind of stuff in there. Like it was very I don't know. He was very, very good. I really enjoyed him. I was not aware of him.
He's got a super unique voice, man. If you dig Woven Hand, I think you're gonna really like 16 Horsepower. Look for some of their stuff because it's well worth it. His voice is so powerful, man. It's kind of otherworldly when he gets kind of into it, especially when he would do like some of the 16 Horsepower stuff, which I'd be shocked if he didn't do one or two of their songs in his solo thing. But yeah, man, I'm so jealous of you guys.
He probably did. I mean, like, yeah, that was an interesting because it was like so that I'll tell you all about it. So Friday was all the acoustic sets, and Steve Von Till did the headlining spot. Saturday, me and my friend Jeremy got up at like 6 a.m. and we went up into the park and did a 9-miler up around one of the lakes over there. And so we ended up missing the first two bands. We missed Dreadnought, which I'm kind of bummed I missed, but them being from Denver, I see them a lot, so I kind of sacrificed. Yeah, I kind of sacrificed sort of not seeing them. And Ghosts of Glaciers we missed, which is supposed to be like kind of more of a post-metal type band. But we kind of got there in time for Yellow Eyes and heard some of their stuff. But ultimately, like Saturday, it was like this crazy. So you had Eternal Champion at 5 o'clock, which is like sort of traditional power heavy metal.
Yeah.
Then Haunter, which was like the death metal band. Then Woven Hand, which was like completely not even metal at all.
Right.
Then there was Wayfarer, who did, who was great and did, their Americana sets.
Right.
And then Enslaved brought the Norwegians to the stage. And that was like kind of an interesting back and forth that they did for Saturday. And then on Sunday morning, I didn't get to talk about this earlier, but they had all these like workshops that they were doing. That was like they had like a Lakota Indian that did a talk about climate change, and there was the singer for Eternal Champion did a blacksmith course because he makes his own swords and shit.
No shit.
And then,
of course he does.
Wow.
Yeah, so we didn't get to see that. But the most interesting thing was Sunday morning. There was a panel discussion. And it was called Mirrors, Revolving Doors, and Wormholes, Music's Connections to Cultural Pasts.
Oh, wow.
And it was led by Ivar Bjornsson and Steve Von Till. And there was and then the Lakota elder was there, and as well as an elder from Peru. And then there was also two professors from different universities. It was like this round table talking about connections between music and the past. And it was really, really interesting. I mean, I didn't even really know how to describe, kind of what it was like to hear all these guys talk. It was like this kind of small enclosed area, and they had like a mic set up. It was kind of hard to hear them all. And like right next to it, they were like preparing barbecue food and all this shit. It was really man, like, where am I?
Yeah.
It's insane.
Well, it's almost like a collective. I mean, you're there as one big collective unit, and I'm thinking that there was one that they did at one of the other ones where they had Scott Kelly from Neurosis there, and they had Mike Scheit from Yob, and they were talking about similar topics like that. But that would have been super cool to listen to. I mean, just guys that are in it for the right reasons. They're not in it to become multimillionaires, because I'm sure Enslaved are comfortable guys. I'm sure they're, especially Ivar and Gritler, are probably comfortable, but they're not rich rock stars. You know what I mean? They're not in it for what and none of those guys are, I'm sure. You know, you got Christ Isaac from Blood Incantations in what, like 5 different fucking bands, you know? His whole thing is about creativity and, you know, bringing the live performance to life, and that's those are special people, you know. They're artists, you know. They're not.
Yeah.
No
Well,
offense.
you can kind of glean that from the fest as a whole, you know, is that everybody that was involved with it had the same kind of mindset that really kind of gave the whole thing definitely an authenticity compared to like any other just kind of normal live show you would see. And
Right.
you know, like I remember thinking like the whole time I was like, man, I hope that they can like make this happen and keep doing it for more people to come and experience something like this, especially like guys like us, Tyler, that like dig the outdoors and, you know, like really like take advantage of these sort of things. Like they really like we've always kind of thought about that, and they kind of put this thing together almost like for people like us in a way. And it's like that's what a lot of these artists were about too. Like it wasn't about you know, like I said, I mean, like this was kind of an exclusive you know, set for Enslaved, for Wolves in the Throne Room as well. I mean, they hadn't even performed any of that new stuff live yet until this fest. You know, so I mean, it was very specifically put together for those guys to come and do those things and kind of bring that sort of vibe to the whole thing, you know. So
that's killer. It's killer. Yeah, I mean, you know, based on my situation with my health, it wouldn't have been a possibility. But it's like, you know, to be very honest with you, had I been healthy, I would have figured out a way to move mountains to get out there just to, you know, get a flight out and say, Jimmy, I'm crashing on your front fucking porch of your tent, man. You know, I mean, I just would have figured out a way to do it because it was just that lineup was so good. And hearing Jeremy talk about it, it's like, how are you gonna better that? I'm just like thinking, how are you gonna do better than that? That was
well, I mean,
so
you know,
good.
the hope is that the momentum is there. You know, I mean, like, I mean, they this was the biggest. I mean, this was probably double the size of the last time they did it, and they pulled it off and then some. So, I think if they get enough momentum, and you know, I think that they could continue to grow it for sure. You know.
No, I just meant like in terms of the lineup itself.
Oh yeah.
Like it was such an almost perfect lineup. You know, I mean, it's like I keep thinking, well, okay, MDF now apparently they confirmed they're coming back for 24. I think that just was recently made public. And I'm thinking, how are you gonna do better than this one? Because I mean, you know, now maybe you will, because in another 2 years there won't be, maybe the pandemic's that much less of an issue. But I mean, and so maybe they can, but you know what I mean? That you got to see some killer fucking shows inside of 6 or 7 weeks. You got to see like some of the best metal out there. You know what I mean?
Well, it's funny. It kind of took I mean, like this year, kind of, especially like coming off the pandemic, it was like all about the shows and the fests and stuff. And it's like kind of took away from certain other things. I don't know if I'll be able to do this again. You know, like,
right.
I mean, obviously they're not doing these fests next year, but like if 2024 rolls around and there's MDF and there's Fire in the Mountains, I'm not going to be able to do both. I doubt, you know, because it just took away from
the
a lot
cash
of the stuff I needed to
and
do.
the cash. Yeah.
But
not a cheap proposition to do those back to back like that. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, like, you know, I mean, the fact that I live, you know, it's pretty much like about a 10-hour drive to the Tetons from my house.
Right.
You know, I mean, like, it's something I would have like, I don't really have an excuse to not go because that's pretty much within reach, you know? So, I mean, it's not as easy for a lot of folks like Tyler, for example. I mean, you have to come a long fucking way.
Yeah.
You know, come do that.
Yeah. I'm totally wanting to, though. Like, but we were talking about doing like the hiking metal punks meetup there. And then I got guys from that Order of the Black Arts page I'm part of on Facebook that I met up with at that festival in Tacoma. A bunch of them had gone to previous ones and they want to go back. So it'd be a pretty good opportunity to, you know, have a pretty big meetup for me. But yeah, I'll be coming a long way. That'd be as far east as I've ever traveled.
No shit, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty. Yeah, I don't travel much, man. Like I'm kind of.
Were you
But
born
traveling
in
from Alaska is not cheap.
No, I bet
And
not. But were you born up there? I can't remember. Were you born in Alaska or?
no, I was actually born in Washington, in Seattle.
That's what I thought.
But my
Seattle, right?
family moved up here before I was 2.
Ah, okay. So you've been
So
there all your life for the most part, yeah.
yeah, so I've been raised up here.
And that's
So,
major. That's major. You got to fly out. It's not like you're just going to jump in the car and drive all the way through British Columbia, down through and all the way over and down through British Columbia and
or take a
a
week long
ferry.
ferry from
Yeah.
from Seward or whatever, all the way to fucking Washington.
Tyler, where are you at again? You're
I live in Palmer.
Palmer. Okay.
So a little farm town about 45 miles north of Anchorage.
That's right. Anchorage. Right.
Yep.
Yeah, man. That'd be a heck of a trip. But you know what, dude? How old are you again? You're in your 40s?
Yeah, I turned 44 in November.
You know what, man? And you got kids or not?
Nope, no kids.
No kids. Dude, you got to do something like that once. You know what I mean? It's like it just I mean, I'm a perfect example of that. Now I've done some cool shit. I've gotten, I've traveled a bit here and there. But I mean, with what's going on with my health, man, I can't do that anymore. And probably won't ever be able to. And it's kind of like, you got to grab the bull by the balls and go sometimes and just do it,
Well, that was kind of my motivation for like going to MDF, for example, because I was thinking like this probably like not only was it the perfect like kind of lineup to go, but like I was like, if I never do this again, this is the time I'm going to go. And they even said that it may be the last. It's not looking like it's going to be the last. But then unfortunately the problem is you go and you're like, oh, I'm never going to miss it again. It's like it's kind of
that's a double-edged sword, right? Yeah. And
So-
what's crazy for me is, and this is, unfortunately, I really started to take a turn at the end of May, because I had every intention of coming down. And I'm kind of glad I didn't, though, with Devin getting sick. I would have probably gotten sick because I'd have been hanging out with him. And, but like the truth of the matter is I'm only an hour away from MDF. And I only really learned about MDF, and I'm kind of embarrassed by this, like in 17. I was like, wait, how they already have like 15 of these? What the hell how'd that happen? It was,
Oh, wow.
I don't know how I missed them.
Yeah.
But I only went to one. I only went to that one in 17. And you're right. As soon as you do it, you're like, oh man, I really want to do this again, and then it's like a lot of shit happened for me that made it so that I really couldn't. I have 2 kids and college and all that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, it's a double-edged sword. You're almost kind of like, once you experience it, it's hard to the next time it rolls around to say, I got to rein it in this time or whatever,
Yeah.
Well, what's funny about Fire in the Mountains is so the main organizer, his name is Jeremy.
Yeah. Jeremy.
Okay.
Mhm.
So like in 2018, 2019, I'd actually exchanged some emails with him about, I turned him on to Rubizol actually. And he was talking about how he already had the 2020 lineup set, which was the one that just happened this year. Because that was the big plan for 2020 was,
right.
Ivar's like curated thing or whatever.
Right.
But he was going to look at us for the following one. But
Wow.
now I'm not part of that band anymore, and I don't know what's happening with those guys. But yeah, like because I told him, I was like, yeah, we're from Alaska, like we're all about the aesthetic, blah 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 blah, and he was like, oh shit, yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
That
I
was
mean, he's really the guy that, I mean, if you go read that Metal Injection, he's the guy that had the idea. I mean, I think he's really the catalyst of the whole thing. And so you guys never really played live, or you never really played live with them, did you, Tyler?
No, up here, but we didn't get a chance to play out of state. And that was one of the things we had made plans in 2020 to play out of state. Like I had buddies and other bands, and we weren't going to hammer out like, try to take like 2 weeks of vacation time and hammer out like, 14 shows or nothing like that. We're going to play like 3 or 4 shows, but we were going to visit like some buddies in Cleveland and play with their band. And then Burial Oath. And then the guys in Ancestral Shadows, they're going to set up a show in New Hampshire to play something there, and then do something in between with someone else. Like really just, I mean, treat it more like just a vacation. And then happen to play a couple gigs in the middle of it. But then 2020 happened, and rest is history, as they say.
Yeah. Why did you
So,
leave the band? Why did you leave the band?
it was
Fell
just
apart.
not really fell apart. It was just, I mean, if anything fell apart, it was like me and my drumming, because I didn't play at all for 2020.
Oh.
I didn't touch the
really?
drums at all. And then 2021, it was just kind of, we were grinding on trying to, I mean, the album was recorded. I finished recording the drums, I think in 2019 or 2018, something like. I recorded the drums like a long time ago, actually. And it was just a grind to try to get the shit finalized on that and get things done. And then, I mean, it's no one's fault, but the guys wanted to kind of take things in a different direction, like as far as their public persona and how they wanted to. I don't know, the aesthetic of the band, I guess. And I'd always been the social media guy. Like I was always the guy that, I was putting the name out there in the different groups and like in the forums and everything else, and put some eyes on that band. And then they started kind of cracking down. It's like, hey, you should really talk to us first before you start publicly talking about the band. And it's like, I'm the one that fucking founded the band. I'm the one that gave you the name of the band. Like, I'll do what I want.
Man.
But it just kind of things kind of came to a head. Like my skills had kind of degraded. The guys were really rearing to get going again, and I was just kind of done with it. Like I wasn't feeling that drive to do it. So I volunteered. I stepped down, like rather than try to drag on and just.
So wait, this is your band, and you guys are all located up there in Alaska?
Me and the vocalist and guitarist are up here. Are the bass player, who's now the drummer. He's actually based out of Chicago, and the dude just dude's like he's the consummate professional musician, and that's kind of the attitude he was coming from. I mean, he was in bands like he founded bands like the Unforsaken that were on Century Media for a while, and like he was actually the earliest member of Knockmistium, and like I mean the dude's got hella background, and I've known him for like over 20 years, like an online presence, but he actually came up here and played with us. And then that's how we got him as the third member of the band, because he always wanted to come to Alaska, and we're just like, hey, do you want to learn some bass parts and play a couple shows with us? And like, that's kind of how that came about. But yeah, like I said, like it's not that big of a deal. Like I personally lost the drive to really keep things going.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that's tough, especially, and I'm not saying this to be a smart ass, but I'm kind of being real about it. Like, I can't imagine there's a massive, thriving black metal scene in Alaska that they're begging you to come play every.
Anymore. There's barely a metal scene at all up here anymore.
I bet.
Like anyone. So before 2020, the scene was pretty active. I mean, there was a number of bands here, but like nothing's changed in the life. I mean, when I was playing shows, like when I was a teenager, like when I played shows like in my early 20s, like it's all the same. Like the metal bands got the shit slots. They're like, oh, you guys can play like 8 p.m. on a Sunday night, and it's like cool when no one's gonna fucking come out. Thumbs up. And so, and nothing's changed there. I mean, they do it on a Friday night now, but then they're people are paying a fee to get into the bar, and then they're charging a separate fee to go into so no one's fucking coming in. So you're playing in front of your. Like if you're in a metal band, you're really used to seeing the same people over and over and over again, because you're playing with the same bands over and over and over again. So that kind of stuff.
It's not like you're in New York City or Chicago or even LA or something.
It's not like there's a shit ton of venues that are vying for bands to play for them, and there's just not. It's a really small scene, like musically. But if you're in a cover band, or if you're a singer, songwriter, folk person, then you got all the opportunities you want up here.
Balls to the wall.
Yeah. So that's why I actually fill in. I used to fill in anyway. I filled in for, there's a cover band that plays up here that plays like 70s, 80s pop shit. And I'd fill in for them. And shit, man, 4 hours of like playing basic 4/4 beats. I would make way more money than I ever did playing any metal shows. Like they would hand me a pile of cash, and they're like, here's your cut. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, no wonder why you guys make a career of this.
Yeah, I know a dude. I know a dude in Oklahoma. He's a killer fucking drummer. And he plays basically in a wedding band, and
Okay.
the guy is booked out, and they're in a cover
Oh,
band.
dude.
They are
Yeah.
booked out solidly for like 3 years, and the guy pulls in like fucking 5 G's a month,
Oh, yeah.
just drumming cover shit on weekends, man.
Yep.
It's like
Yeah,
what?
that's how it goes, man. Like some of the big cover bands up here, I mean, they play like 3 nights a week,
Yeah,
and they set their, if you're established enough, you set your own rates, and people
exactly.
gladly pay.
Yeah,
All you got to do is just be a
It's
college
pretty
kid.
amazing. It's pretty amazing. But if you play original music, you get shit on. No one wants to see you except other
no.
musicians.
I mean, but it is tough. I mean, unless you're in Nashville or New York or LA or some of the big, a big city to I know a kid in his name's Joshua Jones, and he's a fucking monster guitarist. 25 years old. He's honestly, man, if you close your eyes, you wouldn't know that he's not Eddie Van Halen, but he has his own thing. But he's, EVH is his mentor, his God, and the kid just can play his balls off. And I'm like, dude, why? And he's in Tulsa and he's playing in this cover band. And like, he had sent me clips of his band. I'm like, bro, like, seriously, man, like, you are the shining star in that band. It's not even close. Like, I'm not even a pro singer and I can sing better than your singer does. And it's like, what are you doing? And he's like, well, I just found out he quit the band and he's going to Nashville because it turns out, I believe, Derek Sherinian kind of discovered him,
Oh,
and
fuck.
they're writing some music together, I believe. So
That's big. Holy
and I
shit.
mean but there's a million, if you're on Instagram, there's a million guitar player kids out there. Or YouTube, same thing. There's a million of these shredders and, crazy guitar players and crazy singers and whatever. It is hard as hell to get into music, and, a lot of it's luck, man. A lot of it's just
Yep.
somebody seeing you at the right place at the right time. And I mean, like I said, that dude that plays in that cover band, I was talking to him one night. He's a friend of Josh's, and I'm like, so why don't you do like original music? He's like, because I never made any money from it. I had original bands, and we were like big in the area, in the scene. We were a metal band, and we were writing all originals. This guy is fucking amazing drummer. I can't remember his damn name right now. Dane, I can't remember his last name, but he's like, dude, I make like 5 G's a month just playing 4 or 5 weddings. Or I guess he said like 8 weddings, like, because they would do Fridays and Saturdays and stuff. I'm like, wait, you make
They're probably playing
5?
like, sometimes playing like 2 a day or something.
Oh yeah,
Kind
yeah,
of
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like a more an afternoon wedding and then an evening wedding where they're doing
Mhm.
like a reception or whatever. It's like crazy, man. Crazy fucking, that's a lot of money, man. That's a lot of fucking money just for playing drums on the weekends. I don't know how it was for you, Jimmy. Like, you were in a metal band though, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it was, yeah, I mean, like, I never really went into like any of the, I mean, I remember like being in college and seeing the same thing. Those bands were doing Creed. I mean, they were doing covers of the hits of the day, right? Like, remember like when Creed came out, and,
Yeah,
like, I
yeah.
remember like like when I was in college, it was like the late 90s, like when metal kind of like took a dip, and all the
Right.
and the metals, I mean,
The grunge bands.
yeah, like the Creed kind of stuff, and their your kind of vocals, and
Right.
all the bands at the college, man, were doing all that stuff and making bank. Doing those gigs, man. It was just a bunch of drunk college kids just dancing around or whatever.
Right.
I remember like being at like some of those. I went to like my first 2 years in college was in Mississippi, and there was jack shit to do in that town, so like everybody was in the frats, the fraternities. And so I had some friends that were like in it. So I'd go to the frat parties every now and then just because I mean, there was nowhere, nothing else to do, even though I wasn't in the frat. And I remember like being at the party and watching the cover band doing the Creed, covers or whatever they were, whatever they were, Seven Mary 3 or whatever the hell they were playing, and being like, fuck this. I am fucking out of here.
Yeah.
Now. I would march the fuck out of there. I wasn't even like even really welcome because I wasn't really one of the fraternity brothers or whatever, because I wasn't part of the clique. Or I fucking hated it so much, man. But I could tell like those guys were definitely like they could just do that every night when there was a frat party and probably make a shit ton of money just doing those songs,
Yeah.
And even if I would have like just wanted to even like pursue drums any further, I probably could have done that and, at least got some chops or experience or whatever it was just doing the easy stuff into doing something that I'd rather do. But
right.
no, I never went down that road. No.
Yeah, that's kind of what happened for me. So years ago when I was in my previous black metal band, Bound by Entrails, and when that band finally disbanded because the founder moved out of state and other people moved away or whatever, I was actually burned out. I was burned out on the metal scene, and it's actually kind of a similar thing is happening now. So I'm not really doing anything musically at the moment, but I'm kind of hoping just to jump on some easy shit, some non-metal stuff for a while, and just kind of, I call it my factory reset. And that's what I did. I did that. I played in a surf band for a while and, filled in for cover bands and whatever. And, I had my metal scene buddies who were like, oh, you're wasting your talents and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I think I'm expanding on my talents, actually, playing other shit and learning different things. And, I get back into the metal and everyone's like, oh shit, it's like you never left. And I was like, well, yeah, no shit. Because I kept playing, but
keeping your chops up. Yeah.
Yeah. But, and so, circling back to when I left the band, that's always been my MO though, is, if I'm not actively practicing with the band, I don't play. And that's something that started even all the way back in school when I was doing band. I never had to practice to do the music, to do the exercises. Like I learned the music real fast. I memorized it and then I would just play it.
It's a little tougher being a drummer than like if you're a guitar player, you can sit down in front of the TV while you're watching Netflix and just fucking dick around. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And I can only tap around on a practice pad so long.
So much, yeah.
And I immediately get bored and everyone's like, oh, you could work on your rudiments and blah. And it's like, no, everything's single strokes, man. I don't double stroke fucking nothing. So
man, I had the same problem as a drummer. I had the same problem. If I wasn't playing with somebody, I wasn't playing at all.
I was just wondering, do you play at all right now, Jimmy? How long have you been playing now?
For that exact reason, because it was fun like back in the days when like you were jamming with people or like trying to get a band going or whatever. But like, when I like moved and like maybe, was thinking about like pursuing another band or something like that, I just stopped playing. And then I would like go back to it and be like, okay, maybe I need to go and really properly learn, like Tyler was talking about, like, if, you really want to get great, you got to master those rudiments, and God just bore the shit out of me. I just never wanted to do it. And I would even try to do it. And I would try to get at a point where I could get my paradiddles. Paradiddle is the key. That's, if you can master the paradiddle, you can master anything on the drums. And, because the paradiddle is kind of the building block for, all the other diddles and things that you will learn, on the drum set. So, all you have to really do is on a snare drum, master that. And then that's the keys to the kingdom for drumming. But to master the paradiddle, you have to spend hours upon hours upon hours of doing the same fucking thing for,
over and over and over and over. Yeah.
You can really get to a point where you can get that point. So, some people like learn it quicker or master it quicker than others, right? For me, like I would start to try to get in the mindset of, okay, I'm going to do this. And then after about 2 days, I'd be like, this is just too monotonous for me. I can't focus on it. Like, I'd much rather, if I'm going to play with somebody, I'll play. And then I just kind of lost interest. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to be a fan now, because I'm just not ever really going to get to that level. I could just like maybe like keep playing and maybe just do some gross grind kind of stuff or some shrewd kind of drumming. It's not like you have to become the greatest drummer in the world or anything.
Right,
but like if you want to get good at an instrument, you got to put the time in. And I learned that, for me, like I just didn't have the drive for
the
it.
motivation. Yeah. So you don't own a drum set now anymore?
No,
or?
not anymore.
Oh,
I
really?
actually I had one for a while, and I went through like many years where I kept like going back to it, and then I would go away from it, and I'd be like, I'm gonna go back to it. I finally just got like, I'm just not gonna go back to it.
Yeah.
And I'm okay with that. Like I'm good with it. That's for other guys to do, like CJ, who's killing it. I mean, like,
oh yeah,
it's just like any other music instrument. I mean, like you're either gonna pursue it like crazy, or you're just gonna do it kind of like,
a weekend warrior type thing.
Yeah,
at the most,
and if you can do it that way, and then that's great. I learned quickly. I mean, my biggest issue with being a drummer is that like you can't really be very creative without other players. Whereas if you're a guitar player, you can kind of
yes, you can. You can sit down and create, and you don't have to have a drum set around, or you don't have to have a bass player or even a singer for that. Yeah, that's I get exactly what you're saying. And again, the same parallel is that you can sit down with an acoustic while you're noodling and doing other things, and whereas you really can't do that with drums. You gotta dedicate yourself to the time to sit down. By the time you warm up, you gotta really like be motivated and disciplined to put the time in on it. And like, you'll see CJ put up videos of him practicing. I mean, he's totally dedicated to it. The kid is just like so into it. I look back, I'm a pretty decent guitar player, but I also think to myself, man, if I'd have just, when I was in my 20s, not been out chasing ass and drinking all the time and, focused more on things, you know what I mean? It's like, it just is what it is. I never took it serious enough that I thought I was going to be a rock star,
Yeah. Well, what Marty said right there, I mean, I agree. I mean, like it's I guess you do really want to still like do the band and stuff, and really like again, you don't have to be the most amazing drummer or whatever it is, but you do really want I mean, like you are kind of one of the most important members of the band, but at the same time, you're not necessarily like the creative force behind it, like in terms of like the writing of the music, which you can do as a guitar player and really kind of, have a really unique voice.
Right.
As a drummer, you're kind of like, you're the backbone, you're you're definitely pulling it all together, but it's not like, unless you're really going to pursue the hell out of it, you're not going to be like you're not going to find the most creative outlet from it, I guess, as to if you could play.
I mean, there are some guys like Isaac from Blood Incantation. He plays guitar and writes a lot of their music along with Paul, but he's kind of the exception versus the rule. But I mean, I think that the thing about drummers, I would agree that the drummer is usually the most important piece of a band, because if your drummer sucks, your band's probably going to suck. I mean, that's the reality of it. But it's the one instrument that you need that guy to be totally focused in on. If he's kind of half-assing it, you're never really going to get anywhere. Guitar players, depending on what genre of music you're playing, as a guitar player, you can do the Creed stuff and not be this amazing guitar player, but it just depends on what you're into, what kind of music you're getting into. But I wasn't sure if you were still playing. I know Tyler, you had said your drums are there at your house but not set up, right? I think, or something like that.
They're set up. They're set up right now. I just sitting down and practicing, it just bores the shit out of me.
Well, it's hard. The older we get, man. I mean, I've got 12 years. Jimmy, you're what? How old are you again? 44, right?
43.
43. I mean, I got 12, 13 years on both you guys, and it becomes harder and harder to motivate yourself to do stuff if it's not, if it's not your career or your wife or your family. And Jimmy, in your case, you have a love of, and same with you, Tyler. You guys love getting out into nature and doing you're motivated to hit those hikes, but the drums aren't as important to you at this point, and the truth of the matter is, the further along you get, the less it probably is important, especially if you're not making a lot of money out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, for me, drumming was always like, I always called myself like a career hobbyist. Like I never, like, I joined these bands and it was fun making music. And that was one of the things that again, like it's no one's fault really in the band, but that's one of the things that happened with Rubizol. And it's like, it became less fun and more of a grind and became more business-like. And it was like, well, no, it was cool to make cool music, have people, get hyped about it, and then have opportunities from that rather than grind and almost make a business out of it. And it's just that I've never been about that. So, and it's not like I'm going to stop drumming. Like, I'm just taking another break for a little bit, and then if something comes up. Like, I don't sweat it. My biggest problem is here though, is that I got other metal guys that want me to play with them, but I'm such a like at heart, I'm an old school drummer. I'm a meat and potatoes, bare bones type of drummer. Like, and all these guys up here, they want the drummer that does like, where my feet are syncopated with every fucking stroke that a guitarist does with his pick. And it's like, I'm not about that shit. Like, I actually hate the way that shit sounds. Like, it sounds like a fucking machine, and I don't like it.
You mean all the trigger drums that they use now, man?
It's not even no. I have no problem with triggers. Like, it's just what I'm talking about. When you got those real super technical bands, and the guys are doing the and they want a drummer whose feet are matching what the guitarists are playing.
Yeah.
Constantly. And then they'll still doing your basic groove shit over the top of it. And it's like, I've never been that guy. I've never been a feet guy. I'm either playing basic shit or I'm going full speed. Like, there's no in between. There's no, and that's how it's always been. That's how it's always been for me. Like, the hands always came first. Like I made up for a lot of shortcomings of my feet with my hands. Like, I could dazzle some chops up top and then just keep it basic with the feet, and no one knew the difference.
Yeah, I had a lot of tricks like that too, where I can like pull off certain things live, and then if we tried to record it, I was like, holy shit, that sounds awful.
Yeah, exactly. That's
like,
exactly
it sounded really good. Like, I think I'm hearing something that my feet aren't really doing or whatever. But I mean, it's well, the cool thing is, like, these days, like, that whole like lightning precision, while it still like has its place, I think a lot of more people like appreciate the more loosing, the loose kind of thing that you're talking about. Like, it's like, it was kind of exciting, like when it first came out, like that really just extremely just like, 280 BPM kind of stuff, where it's like perfectly synchronized. And, you would later find out that it was kind of made to be that way in Pro Tools or whatever it was. But now, like, I think people appreciate a lot more just looser kind of style.
Well, like something Jeff brought up earlier is, with these guitarists now, like YouTube and everything else. I mean, kids are getting younger and younger, and they're becoming more and more experts because they have more and more tools available for them to learn.
Oh yeah,
like they can pick up a guitar as a beginner and watch a YouTube tutorial on how to sweep pick. Like, they can, like, do you see the meme? There's the meme with like the kid like at the stairs and he's stepping up like 8 steps or whatever.
Right.
And then there's all those different levels that you should be doing, but it's like, but I see that in the drum forums all the time. Yeah, I've been playing drums for 3 months and I'm trying to learn how to play to a click at 280 BPM. It's like, motherfucker, you can't even hold a stick right yet. Like, why are you trying to do this other shit?
Yeah, it's funny. I've been playing guitars. Really, I got my first guitar when I was 8, but I mean, I've been playing it seriously since maybe like 15, 16. And, the one thing I've struggled with, although I can do certain elements of it, is sweep picking. I've, like, because it wasn't there. Nobody was sweeping. Eddie Van Halen never swept in his life. If you listen to Eddie, he's never swept. I mean, it
was all taps and
hammer-ons, pull-offs, and the whammy bar shit tricks and stuff. But that kind of came around sort of with Yngwie, but Yngwie doesn't even do proper sweeps, to be honest with you. That's more of more the last 20 years or so. And quite frankly, I'm wowed by some of these kids and what they can do, but there's not a lot of soul in it. There's not a lot of feel in sweeping. It's just doing these arpeggios, and it's technically amazing, but you watch some of the original guys like Frank Gambale, or maybe, or like, here's a good guy. Al Di Meola doesn't sweep. He just alternate picks like a motherfucker. And those are guys I listen to. I mean, There's this kid Brandon Ellis. You probably know who he is from Black Dahlia Murder, and I guess
Oh, yeah.
he's out with Exodus. He can fucking do it all, and he's fucking amazing. But I just find that some of these, and watching him is really a joy to watch, because you can see he's got the whole arsenal of things. But that guy probably sat down and fucking played 10, 12 hours a day, every day, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just, or 8 hours a day. And sadly for me, I could never find, as much as I love the guitar and love playing the guitar, I could never just sit there and play guitar for 12 hours. It just
Oh, no.
wasn't in me to do that, you know?
Oh
I
man,
mean,
I saw Virgil Donati do a drum clinic, and I remember like
Oh,
somebody asked
crazy
him like,
good.
how long, like, how do you, like, he did this crazy, like, you know, if you ever seen Virgil Donati play,
oh, he's fucking
he's like
amazing.
he's like an octopus on the drum.
Octopus, yeah,
He's
yeah.
a monster.
Crazy good.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like, I mean, I remember like one of the questions posed was like, how do you like get to that level? And he said, well, I play 8 hours a day, you know?
Yeah.
And
How do you even do that physically though? That's crazy. How do you play
Well, I
drums
mean,
for 12? Yeah.
I mean, he probably just does rudiments a lot, and I mean, he's
Right.
had like the things that me and Tyler were talking about, like in terms of like becoming on that level as a drummer, like, you know, whether you want to just be able to be that lightning precision or just be on another level where you can do like 4 different time signatures with each of your limbs.
Well, you look at
You know.
look at Gavin Harrison. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
he's got the total package too. And I know, you know, his dad was a jazz. I think his dad was a jazz drummer or a drum pianist or something like that. So he was brought up around, you know, music all the time and had the wherewithal to know that, you know, he wanted to be a professional musician. I always wanted to be a rock star, but I just wanted to be the rock star guy. You know what I mean? It was like I wanted to be the party guy, and you know, that was all cool to me. It wasn't so much about getting serious about my instrument. I'm a decent guitar player. I can hold my own with a lot of guys, but you know, when I see some of these shredder kids, it's like they strike fear into my heart, because it's like, yeah, I can't do that. And I'm never going to be able to do that.
Well, and
you
that's
know?
part of it too, is kind of just having the just sort of knack for whatever it is, like, you know, just,
Right.
And so real quick, guys, I just wanted to, hey, Ben, I just wanted to say, hey, and I haven't talked to you in a while. Hope you're doing well, bro. Torno Boggs drummer. Yeah, you know what? I mean, I don't even really remember paying that much attention to the drummer, because the pit was hilarious when Chornobog was playing. And I remember thinking like, wow, this music is, I don't even really know how to explain Chornobog's music, but live, I think they translated very well. And for sure, his band was top notch. I mean, he had this girl on bass, actually, a girl, this female girl, female Asian girl that was playing bass. And
I think that's Markov's significant other.
Oh, is that his one? Okay, yeah.
I think so.
The drummer, I don't know, man. I mean, it definitely sounded good to my ears. I don't know. I mean, like I had listened to the band before and wasn't even sure how they're going to pull this off live, because it was so crazy sounding, but they definitely did. And, you know, the crowd really, really, you know, was into it. Not to mention that it was just like, you know, one of two, like just straight, like crazy death metal kind of stuff for the lineup. But yeah. And New Christian, those guys never really quite, I don't know, like I've seen them play live a lot, like in the early days. Killer musicians, but I don't know. I'd have to go back and kind of,
you know, I checked their newest album out, man. It did absolutely nothing for me. It was just relentless breakneck speed and constant blast beats, and I just was like,
that's every Christian album, though.
yeah, that's not for me, man. I like a lot more variety in my thing, and that just didn't do much for me.
well,
But
that's he
me.
is a really killer drummer for sure.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of one of those things that, like, well, you know, they've been around for a long time, and they're kind of, you know, just. I think I've seen them on tours like in the late 90s, like
Oh wow.
First time like Dimmu Borgir came or whatever. It was Christian was on the bill.
Yeah, that was my first time listening to them. I've seen the name around a bunch, but I think Nick did a review of it, and I was like, hey, you know what? I should check that band out. I never checked them out. I got 3 or 4 songs, and I was like, man, it's just relentless. And you know, maybe I'm getting old. Maybe I'm a poser. I don't know.
Yeah, but I will say, Ben, I think the best, you know, in terms of death metal, that band Haunter was pretty killer at the festival. I don't know if you'd really be into that though. I don't know if you like all that blood incantation kind of stuff, like style shit, but they definitely felt like they had their own thing in that realm, kind of a new upcoming, like the new breed of death metal, if you want to call it that, whatever. But very, very cool. Very, very good band. And the pit was absolutely hilarious too. I mean,
What do you mean by that? Was just like
just people just getting goofy. I mean,
going stupid.
So the dude I had on earlier, Steve, he had like this
Right.
alien outfit on.
Oh,
And
did
it was
he?
funny, yeah, because I didn't even know that was him until I met him later for this stream. But he was running around with that, and there was this one guy had like one of those, you know, those like big hands that people would wear at baseball.
Yeah.
You know, like it has the finger pointed. Well, it was like
Yeah.
a big chainsaw, and he was running around with the chainsaw hand. And yeah, it was just you know, anytime you watch a pit, it's always funny. But because the pits were kind of like, for most of the bands, you know, the pits weren't really crazy.
Right.
Most of the bands weren't really crazy, but
Right.
for the death metal stuff, they started getting
Got
kinda
riled
crazy.
up.
Yeah, so it was funny. But yeah, dude, it was good shit. I wish all you guys could have been there. It would've been a lot of fun. I mean, just like the whole just like the camping experience was kind of fun. It was weird because like, man, the camping areas, like all the tents were just right on each other. Everybody.
Oh, were they? Okay.
So like the first night, it was funny because like the first night I was telling you guys, like it was all the acoustic sets, but I don't know, everybody was just getting hammered as fuck the first night. You know, like everybody was like getting it out. And so like after the Steve Von Till set, we made our way back to the tents and we were kind of hanging out, me and my friend Jeremy, for a bit. Went back to the car, got some beers, went back to the tent and just chilled out. And it was crazy, man. You could just sit in your chair and just look at the stars.
Thousands of stars.
Crazy, you know. So we went to bed and I brought earplugs because I knew it was going to be like that.
Yeah.
People were stumbling everywhere. So I put my earplugs in and went to sleep. We were getting up early the next morning for the hike. And so I didn't hear any of this, but my friend Jeremy, I wanted to ask the earlier guys if they had heard about the story because you know, we were saying like for the most part, everybody was being really cool.
Right.
But some dude got completely blackout drunk that night and just stumbled into somebody's tent.
Oh shit.
Out. And the tent happened to be like right by us. And I didn't hear any of this, but my friend Jeremy, he was kind of like ill prepared. So like he didn't have his like the right sleeping bag because he thought it was gonna be warmer. It was actually pretty fucking cold.
Yeah, I was wondering about that.
Yeah.
How low did it get out there?
It probably was like
50s?
low 40s.
Oh, 40s. Holy shit.
Yeah, so like for us, like we're pretty used to that. Like at least my friend Jeremy, he's a guy I hike with a lot. So he just brought like a really slim sleeping bag and it wasn't quite enough for him. So he was kind of cold like those couple nights. But you know, so he didn't have earplugs either. So he was like hearing everything that was going on. So apparently like a couple tents over, it was like 11 o'clock at night and
oh shit,
he hears this whole exchange happen. Dude walks up to the tent and he starts just talking. He's like, hey man, listen, you're in the wrong tent. This is my tent. Okay, so we're all at a festival. We're all having a great time. You obviously overdid it, but this is not your tent. This is my tent. I need to
Get
go
out of here.
It's 11 o'clock. I'll even go help you find your tent, but you need to get out. And this went on for like 20 minutes. And like
because the guy was all fucked. Guy was fucked
the guy
up
was like
and
blackout drunk. Yeah, so he's like, it's slowly like the guy was like really trying to be like, you know,
cool.
polite. Yeah. And he slowly escalated. He started counting to 10. He was like, I'm going to count to 10. If you don't get out, I'm going to pull your ass out of there, you know? And apparently the guy just started like shuffling around and finally got moving around. The guy counted to 10 and the drunk guy started moving around. And then he said, okay, so now you're moving in the opposite direction that you're supposed to be.
Oh, Christ.
You're moving over there. You need to come over here.
Oh, shit.
So I don't know what happened, like, but the guy pissed the whole tent.
Oh, he pissed in the tent.
Yeah, pissed the whole time.
Oh,
I think it was not just this dude, but it was a couple of, I guess it was
friends or
his wife
something.
and somebody else. Yeah, I don't know what they did.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
And
Oh,
I'm
fuck,
really,
dude.
like, what do you do, man? I mean, like, if somebody sold your tent in 40-degree weather and there's nothing else you can do at 11 o'clock at night, I'm not really sure.
Where are you gonna go?
Yeah.
Oh,
dude,
that would have
fucking
fucking
brutal. Fuck.
that would have
So-
enraged me. I would have fucking gone
Oh,
bonkers.
Oh, I
fuck
know.
yeah.
Yeah. And it could have happened. Like, it was funny because, like, I didn't hear any of this, but we even talked to some people the next day that it became a story. Everybody kind of knew about it. I don't really know what became of it. Apparently, they brought their stuff over to the ranch and they let them wash everything.
Okay.
But I mean, it couldn't have been that night because, like I said, it's like 11 o'clock at night. I mean, they must have, maybe they just went back to their cars and slept in there. But the guy I don't even know how they got him out of there. But because Jeremy, my friend, he was saying, like, I couldn't hear everything, but it sounded like some of the guys over at the next tent kind of helped him. And I guess they got him out of there. And I don't know if they helped him find his tent, but that was really the only, like, major mishap.
Yeah, but
That's
pretty fucking major though, man. I mean,
Yeah.
because that could have escalated into a really bad situation, man. I mean, I can tell you if somebody would have come and pissed in my tent at a certain point, I would have fucking freaked the fuck out.
Oh
man.
yeah, I mean, and we were saying, like, man, I mean, if it was my tent, I'd have been fucked because you can't. I mean, like, all your stuff's wet, it's cold as fuck. There's nowhere to go.
Sleeping
I had to
bag
just
maybe
go
off.
back into my truck and just sit in the front seat until the morning or whatever. I mean,
Oh,
but yeah, dude, I don't know. I mean, the majority of the community there, Ben, was like, I mean, all involved with the ranch. So I know that from what Jeremy was saying, the founder earlier in the stream was that the owner of the ranch was not happy. Like, he does not like the music. And this was a lot bigger this time around, but I think they still worked it out with him. And from what it sounded like, the majority of the other people that were around there were totally cool with it. So I don't know, but I got to imagine some people were pissed off because it was loud as fuck, especially, when, like, Wolves was playing. I mean, it was, and I think the ranch, like, they have, like, they have like these teepees that you could rent, and they actually had these little rooms as well. But what I couldn't figure out is, did they have other people staying there other than festival people? Because I noticed when we went up to where the ranch area was, there were people horseback riding up into the hills. So I don't know if those were people that were staying there or affiliated with the festival, or were just, there for the day to do horseback riding or whatever it was. I just found that really interesting, that it was, wonder what their perspective was with all these metalheads walking around and shit. I mean, but I can say that for the most part, people were very respectful of the place, and there was really no problems at all. As Jeremy was saying earlier, that they didn't even really have to clean up after anybody because people were practicing the aesthetic that the festival was trying to convey.
that's awesome.
Yeah,
That's
so,
awesome, man. One thing I wanted to ask you, you can, whenever you want to call it, let me know. But did you get? I know you got to meet Aaron. Did you get to talk to any other? Like, I assume that, like, it sounded like all of the, I don't know, the rock guys, all the band members were just kind of out mingling amongst the crowd, and when or was that not the case?
Yes, they were, and everybody was really cool. And aside from meeting Aaron from Nachachwan, and Ben kind of posed this question that a good time was, I did catch up Sequoia, and they sounded, I mean, the sound was immaculate. I mean, and what Tanner did for the live band was perfect. I mean, they had 3 guitar players, bass player, singer, drummer. The singer was the guy from Obsidian Tongue, and he had the 2 other guitar players he had playing were both the guys from the band called Inexorum. And that's a band that's out on Gilead Media. Great band. If you guys
they are. I have heard of them. Yeah.
Carl Skildum, and I got to talk to Carl a little bit. In fact, I'm trying to get Carl on the stream at some point. But I got to meet him for a bit and catch up. But there was just something. I mean, like, all the bands sounded great, but Obsequiae really stood out in terms of just the way that they layered everything. I mean, they really reproduced what they did on record. and they did a good mix of all three records. They did mostly stuff off the new one. But yeah, Ben, they for a band that doesn't play live, very often, and this being sort of a exclusive time to catch them, they really were one of the highlights of the festival for sure. I didn't really meet anybody. I mean, I saw the Yob guys walking around, and I kind of like played it. You
didn't want to be that guy.
I had to with Aaron, but like with Aaron from Nechachwan, that was an interesting story because Steve Von Till was playing, and I finally went. They had 3 different food trucks, which was really good food, and I had to go get something to eat. And I went, stood in line, and Aaron so happened to be 2 guys in front of me, and I didn't say anything, and I waited, and he ordered his food, and then I got up and ordered my food, and he was literally just standing there by himself. So I had to, I was finally, man, what's up? And I talked to him for a bit. He was the nicest fucking dude. I mean, just really ended up just sitting there and having dinner with him, really.
Yeah, you don't strike me as a fanboy. You strike me as a guy that kind of lays back from that kind of stuff.
Well, if I start getting buzzed, I might kind of like, so which I was at that point. So, I mean, I got to be, but I've learned to kind of like really kind of be careful with that, because if I do, especially if I'm buzzed, I'm going to get out of my element that I don't want to. But I think I played it pretty safe with him, and it was pretty cool. We had a nice conversation, and other than him, I met the 2 Inexorem guys, Carl and the other guy that plays in that band. And I could have, there was a couple times I came across Austin, but I just kind of felt, I don't know, at the times it just wasn't an opportune time. And I didn't really want to, there was people talking to him and stuff, and I wanted to say hello to him. And there was actually one moment where we crossed paths, and I just said hello, but I didn't really want to just,
but like the Ivar and those guys were out mingling too.
Ivar was out there in the crowd while Steve Von Till was playing.
That's so cool.
Because I know he's a really big fan of him, and he was standing like actually not too far behind me, but I mean, like I didn't really see any of the other Enslaved guys, but the Yob guys were all hanging out. Like CJ said, I mean, everybody, all the bands that were hanging out were all very approachable and very
that's
super
cool.
Of the crowd. They were not rock stars. Any of them. Even Steve Von Till was walking around hanging.
I got a funny Steve Von Till story. The last time I saw them down in Philly, which was for the Fires Within Fires tour, which I guess was at 18? Probably 18, right? And we were walking around they were playing on South Street, a place called the TLA, and I was with my kids, my daughter and my son, and we were walking around, and we walked into this record store that I'd never been in before. This was maybe 2-3 hours before the show. And I'm standing there, I'm sort of thumbing through, how you sort of, somebody walks up next to you, and you kind of feel them, but you don't look up and see they're there. You just know somebody's there. And I stopped thumbing through, and I kind of glanced to my left, and there's Steve Von Till, like standing literally right next to me. And I'm like, oh man, do I be that guy? Am I that nerdy motherfucker or not? I'm like, yeah, I'm going to say something. I'm like, hey man, I'm really, really psyched to see you guys tonight. Totally stoked. And he turned, he was super fucking cool. And I said, yeah, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not going to hold you up, but love your fucking work and blah, blah, blah. So I left, and then I went around the block, and I know, my kids, we went to eat something, and I had to run back to the car. And running back to the car, I come around the corner, and I literally almost run back into Steve Von Till again. I'm like, are you following me, man? He's like, no. He's like, no, man, we're just heading to I'm like, just kidding, man. But that was my one big moment with Steve Von Till. He was super fucking cool. Those guys, I would imagine everybody that would be at a show like that would be that way. Like, because I've met Mike from Yob, and he's like one of the sweetest, kindest, coolest fucking guys you'll ever meet. And
so I should throw out there, and I don't know if this dude is ever going to see this, but I met this guy. His name was Steve, and I don't really know too much. He's not on social media, but he is the head brewmaster for a place, I think it's in Chicago, called Piece, Piece, and piece of piece of
Yeah, right.
pizza, whatever. But apparently a pretty renowned brewery, and he happened to be there by himself and was a friend of a lot of these guys. I just so happened to run into this dude while we were so like we didn't have there was no cell service there at all.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get like any kind of service or like even on the ranch, like you would have to walk up the meadow up to where the ranch was, and there's a little cafe up there, like a breakfast joint, where all the bungalows are for the ranch. And they actually have Wi-Fi there, so we were able to walk up there and get like kind of a slight Wi-Fi signal. So I wasn't really posting a whole lot or anything during the fest.
Oh yeah, right.
Just would go up there just to send my wife a text or whatever, and met this dude Steve. But kind of like ended up hanging out with this guy, a totally cool guy. And he apparently was friends with Austin. And a lot of he has a lot of history with Austin's wife, and went to high school with her. And he's head brewmaster, and him and Austin had done shit like that. So anyway, we kind of made sort of a connection, but the guy wasn't ever on any kind of social media. And by the end of the nights, like I would catch up with him, and like we just never got a chance to exchange
information.
Yeah. So if you ever see this, I mean, all I need to do is I need to call that place and just find him, because he was saying he was to be here in Denver at some point. And I don't remember my point in all this, but it was kind of one of those things that like, you meet people and, just kind of like missed opportunities and things like this. But it was a really cool dude. And, he was like there. The guy he flew into Salt Lake by himself. He had one of these bungalows. It was like these big teepees. They had like 4 beds. He had the whole thing to himself. And like, man, he like we walked back to his rental vehicle. He had like a brand new Subi rental, and like he had like these like foam ice chests in the back, tons of like beer and like vodka, and like he was like
holy shit,
just like boozing us up. Like early in the day, like before we were like walking back to the festival grounds, he's like, man, let's do some shots. So I was like, shit, I'll do one shot. Let's not go too crazy. But
yeah, right.
He kept boozing us up, and then with like the next day, saw him again. Then we went and boozed up again, and like I see him later. It's just a really charismatic, interesting guy.
That's awesome.
And,
super cool.
Anyway, dude, if Steve, if you ever see this, I'll be in touch for sure. If anybody, I don't know his last name, but I didn't even get a picture with the guy. But and it was funny because he was like totally. Like he had been to the festival before, but he was sort of out of his element, like not used to being in the sun. And those like last 2 days, it was like full on brute force sun exposure.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if you didn't have like an umbrella or something, dude, that last Sunday, I must have put on sunscreen like 7 times. It was so
no
exposed.
shit.
There was nowhere.
What elevation are you at there?
I mean, it's probably
3,000, 4,000.
Yeah, 3,000 or 4,000.
Okay.
And like like that big open area. Unless you had like an umbrella or like an awning or something, like they had a couple of tents, and every now and then you could find like a little spot to get like a little shade.
Respite.
But for the most part, like especially on Sunday, like it was full on like sitting out watching the bands. Like it was just complete
crushing it,
sun exposure. So like, and he was like all sunburned and shit. And
sunburn and hangovers, man.
Oh yeah.
That don't go together too well.
Yeah, for sure.
The older you get too, man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was pretty brutal. Like I said, I lathered up so many times that last day, and I managed to not really burn too hard. But it was, and I'm kind of used to that because I'm out in the sun a lot anyway. But like there was a lot of people, man. There was like these young kids in the pit, dude. That like, I mean, they were beat red.
Oh,
I mean, just. They must have had a rough day that next day.
Hey, I missed some of Steve. Like I had to duck away for a second. What mountain did he climb then? What was the one that you showed that big peak from?
So that was the Grand Teton.
It was Grand Teton.
Yeah. So I mean,
how high is that? About 12?
No, it's about. I think it's only
8?
about 7 or 8.
Oh, 7.
Yeah,
or 8?
I mean, it's not as high as the peaks like in Colorado, but it is very technical.
Yeah, I saw the picture of him looking down from up there. That looked pretty intense.
It's real mountaineering.
Yeah.
Rap. You know, I mean, it's you know, it's above class 5, which is
Oh,
technical
wow.
climbing with ropes
Okay.
for sure. And I didn't even really get the full story from him because I wanted to hear more about it, but we were kind of like, you know, kind of getting the fest
Yeah.
and stuff. And
You gotta definitely pull him in and do a hiking thing, and then incidentally get into music, because I don't know, his collection looks fucking
man,
insane.
did
That
you see
little
his
bit.
room? Holy shit.
Well, I think he said that he took all the different variants and the death variants and put them in what, plastic or lucite or something like that. Made flooring out of
He
it.
had like the ground. It was
Yeah,
like a see-through kind of thing. And he
yeah.
put like the vinyls in there, and he had I would be willing to bet his death collection is as like amazing as, I don't know if you guys
Yeah.
follow the Vinyl Police on Instagram. That guy has like all the first pressings and all. He's got one of Chuck's guitars. I bet you Steve has probably about as close as a cool collection. Like he was saying, like you couldn't really see it, but he had a bunch of lyric sheets on the wall. He said those were all
I heard that.
lyric sheets.
That's why when I asked you to make him stay for a few minutes, I wanted to ask him. I wanted to find out where he got those, because he must have been in contact with Chuck back in the day, or know somebody in the family or something like that. I
Yeah,
mean,
I don't know, man. All I know is that, yeah, I mean, he only had so much time. I didn't want to
yeah,
like
I
press it,
got it.
but like I'm gonna try and have him on again, so like we can kind of see what he's got. Because I told him, I was like, dude, you need to start a YouTube channel and start showing some of that stuff off, because that's, I mean, his
Well,
room there was.
Does he have an Insta?
He's got Instagram, yeah. He's
Send that to me privately then.
yeah.
I
Well,
wanna jump on there and check that out, man.
but he doesn't have too much up there. Like he's got
Oh,
a
okay.
few pictures, but it's not like too crazy. I mean, he's got.
He seemed like a hella fucking cool dude, man. Super cool. How did you meet him out there?
No. I saw him because he was the guy. He had this
with the
alien
costume.
Yeah,
Right.
and I remember seeing him run around because it was hard to miss, and it was funny when I put that together later, because I didn't realize that's who he was when I reached out to him. I reached out to him because I saw that he had done the Teton, and I wanted to talk to him about his climb. But again, like we didn't really get too much into that. But from what I could tell, he's a very, pretty serious mountaineer.
Yeah, he sounds like a pretty fucking serious climber, man. No jokes.
Like he's done, like he was telling me he did. I've been working on the 14ers here in Colorado. He's done them all, and he's starting to finish off all the centennials, which is the 100 highest peaks in Colorado.
Yeah.
And which get the 13ers get even more technical than the 14ers here. So and that's ridiculous kind of stuff. So he's kind of like nearing the end of that, but he, seems like he's really done a lot in terms of that. And I'm hoping I can get out and hike with him one of these days, because he only lives like 3 or 4 hours away from me.
Oh, really? Oh, he's in Colorado?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. He's like close to like Telluride, which is about, 3 or 4 hours like west of where I'm at. So I'm hoping
you guys got to get out sometime. That'd be badass.
We'll see at some point, kind of hopefully made that connection. But well, look, guys,
yeah, man.
I want to wrap this up just because I didn't want to make it like we definitely like go all night, but I wanted to like try to keep this sort of like see if anybody else comes out and watch the Fire in the Mountains kind of thing.
Sure.
But I appreciate you guys just kind of like jumping on for the recap and everything.
Oh,
and just,
thanks for bringing me on, dude. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad we talked about this about 2 weeks ago, and I kind of was like, come on, man, you got to do something. You got to give us. So it was cool that you put that together. It was nice to include CJ in on it, because you could tell what it really meant to him. I mean, it was just super special to him.
I wish I could have
for a young cat like that,
Yeah, I wish I could have I kind of had an idea what he looked like, but I wasn't really too sure. But I never did really see him at the fest, so unfortunately we didn't get to like connect there. But at least we did afterwards, and yeah, you could tell it was really like meaningful for him.
Yeah.
And and his bands are killer too, man. That I was listening to Amun,
and
that's good shit, man. Really,
he's a very talented drummer, man. For his age, he's quite good, man. He's dedicated to it. You can tell this is really what he wants to do.
Yeah.
And so I have a lot of good vibes for him, man. He's a good kid.
For sure.
So.
But Yeah, well, thanks, guys. And like I said, Tyler, we'll do the hiking metal punks here in a week or two. We'll kind of see what Russell and Ryan are gonna work with, and yeah, for sure. Yeah, we'll see what happens. But I'm gonna try and shoot a new video coming up here, hopefully this weekend. I've not had time to get out and really do like a hiking video, and I've got this like big one planned, and I'm hoping that it's going to happen, but I don't know, it just depends on the weather. It's been like really rainy here, which is great, but it's been kind of
Same here.
Yeah.
It's been today. Now think about this. I live in central Pennsylvania.
Thanks, Rick.
It has been the heat index today was 104 fucking degrees today. And tomorrow is supposed to be even worse, 107 tomorrow. We've had like 3
Fuck
days
that.
of that. Oh, it's fucking brutal. And I don't have air. That's why you see my hair blowing all over the place, because I got a fan literally 3 feet from my face because it's so goddamn hot in my room. We moved into an apartment, and I can't really do air right now. And but yeah, it's fucking brutal. We're finally gonna get, like, I never thought I'd be excited for like 84 degrees, but that's coming up like on Thursday. So
Yeah.
like, man, that'll be at least at night. Like right now, it is. Hang on one sec. It is 84 degrees with a heat index. It's 87 at 1 a.m. in the morning.
God.
Imagine that shit.
I mean, it's been pretty hot here, but that's pretty bad.
Imagine trying to sleep in that, because it's super fucking muggy here. It's like 70% humidity right now. Ugh.
Yeah.
So, well, listen, Jimmy, I appreciate you having me on, brother. You know,
absolutely,
as
brother.
always, love you, man.
Yeah,
and
I'll be in touch.
Tyler, always good to see you, bro.
Hope you're doing well.
Always good talking to you, Jeff.
Guys, thanks. Anybody that jumped on the stream, thanks. Hope you enjoyed it. It was an amazing fest. If you have the opportunity to go next time, I cannot speak highly enough about it.
I'm planning on it.
It was the time of my life, for real. And I hope they do it again. And if they do, I hope you guys can make it in some capacity for sure. So,
guys,
for real, I'll be in touch with both of you guys. Thanks for jumping on.
Peace out, man.
All right, guys.
Later, guys.
Take care.